Our boy is stunned when he sees his little sister's bruised face, with tears streaming down her cheeks. She immediately tries to apologize, but Ijin assures her that she has absolutely nothing to be sorry for. He then turns towards the bully in front of him, and, before anyone can react, drops him with a single strike to the neck. The others immediately rush him, but Ijin effortlessly brushes aside the biggest guy's punch before bringing him to his knees with another precise strike. A second bully desperately attacks, only to receive a brutal punch straight to the stomach. Watching his men get destroyed one after another, their leader, Jisoo Kim, can only stare in disbelief. But when Ijin calmly mentions how much his little sister has suffered because of them, the chilling tone of his voice sends shivers down everyone's spines. Refusing to be intimidated, Jisoo suddenly launches a powerful kick, only to watch in disbelief as Ijin effortlessly blocks it. Panicking, he immediately attacks again, but this time, Ijin catches his leg before the kick can even connect. But who exactly is our boy, and how did he become this ridiculously strong? Well, to find that out, we need to go all the way back to where this story began. A girl in her class is wondering that her brother should be in his class by now. Some of the girls excitedly announces in their class that a really cute third year has transferred in. She immediately thinks that it must be him, her brother, who was found alive after all the years he has been missing. She was stunned seeing him alive as well. But Daeyeon is quickly woken up by a blondie bitch, who bullies her in giving her the uniform she bought for herself. And when she tries to talk back, she is instantly greeted with a slap on his head. While others in the class all try to avoid to meet their gaze as to not become the next target. Back to our boy, he gets introduced to the class by the teacher. And all the girls obviously wet themselves upon seeing him. But obviously some of the boys don't like it very much. When one of them tries to trip him, Ijin stops right before. They get into a stare down with the ugly mug trying to act tough in front of him. But Ijin remembers his major's words that he needs to stay away from fights in Korea. But the reason Ijin prefers to avoid combat is to not enter any combat situation without any intel about his surroundings. Major Kong stops him right there, because he told him to avoid combat for the sake of the poor kids that end up going up against him. The teacher notices and asks if something is wrong, but Ijin simply smiles and walks along, leaving the boy to think that Ijin is just a wimp. He sits together with a nerd called Yongchan, who tries to warn him about Jaehyung Lee, the guy who just tried to trip Ijin. And also the one behind him, Hyekjinju. They are apparently someone he should watch out for. Ijin heeds to his warnings nicely, and Yongchan is relieved that Ijin is a nice dude. Sometime later, the class goes on as Ijin takes a look at his surroundings. And seeing all this peaceful life around him reminds him of his teenage days. Finally, after the school ends, he waits for Daeyeon at the gate, garnering attention of all the girls. She was startled that he was waiting for her, and he wants to walk home with her. But while walking, things seems a bit awkward around them. Ijin acknowledges it, knowing that he was 9 and don't remember much about either her or Grandpa. And it must be even weirder for her since she was only 7. But suddenly, Daeyeon stops upon hearing the name Huijin. They seems to be her bullies at school. They quickly recognize her, and she freezes in fear upon hearing herself get called out. The bitch assumes that Ijin is her boyfriend. She didn't thought Daeyeon could ever get a date. She tries to correct her that it's her brother, and Ijin asks if she is her friend. Daeyeon agrees. But the bitch doesn't think so. She didn't like being called her friend. Meanwhile, Ijin keeps on staring at one of the guys sitting with her, and it rubs him the wrong way. They warn him to look down before he get hurt. When Ijin doesn't back down, the fat ass's patience runs thin. He approaches him with a stare down. But Ijin remains calm and sees much flaws in the fat ass for trying to close in on him without a thought. Being rash and open like him in front of Ijin is like spreading his ass open for the oncoming beating. Ijin sighs away from the fight due to Major Kang's words. And right when the guy is trying to hit him, Daeyeon apologizes to him. She tries to mediate that he is new here and doesn't know much about Korea and shit. But they simply scoff and snicker at her response. The dude doesn't plan on backing down from beating Ijin either. And Ijin is shocked seeing his little sister tremble in fear like that. He quickly smacks the guy's hand away, almost breaking it, and then approaches her gently, telling her to wait a moment, and slips his jacket over her. The guy tries to attack him from behind, only to get smashes in his face, and the guy immediately gets folded into a bunch of chairs, leaving their partners in utter shock. But Ijin is kind of disappointed as well for not being able to keep his promise to Major Kong. We switch scenes to Major Kong and his teammates, who all are hoping that Ijin is adjusting back good at home. They do believe that he is. After all, they gave him extensive training for whole 6 months. Back to Ijin, who is surprised the guy went down in a single hit. He quickly glances to the second one and immediately charges him, ending him with a single gut punch. And the guy is thrown back far back in the air. And then with a single glare, he makes the bitch shudder in fear. Daeon also removes the coat from over herself and sees the bullies down on the ground. Meanwhile, the bitch is shitting bricks as Ijin causally walks past by her. He makes sure that his sister is fine first thing. She assures and gives him his coat back to head back home. Seeing Ijin like this, the girl cannot believe it was the same guy with that glare earlier. Daeon leaves with a greeting and Ijin with another quick glance at her. On the way, she asks him if he was the one who did all that. He agrees. She finds it strange since her brother doesn't strike as someone who would fight. But she still warns him to not make eye contact like this here, as it could be dangerous. He replies that it's the same from where he was from as well. Daeon asks, why did he do that here then? He simply replies, it was because they looked like they were causing her trouble. A response which makes her melt. Fast forward to his home, Ijin insists to do the dishes while his grandpa tries to make him relax. His grandpa hopes that the dinner wasn't bad since he never been a good cook, but Ijin assures that every meal he eats here is delicious. Hearing which makes him quite happy. Daeon notes that her grandpa seems happy with Ijin liking his cooking. He even joined cooking classes to prepare for his return. He then asks him about his first day of his school. And both Ijin and Daeon stops for a moment. Ijin assures that it was good, making him relieved. Back in his room, Ijin sleeps, soundly remembering the dinner and happy moments he had with his family. Suddenly, a dream comes to him when he was involved in that plane crash. He ends up waking up with a jolt due to it along with a heavy breathing. He calms himself down and there happens a knock on his door. He comes out with Daeon preparing to make his breakfast. He asks about his grandpa, who apparently heads to work at dawn. It's the first time hearing that for Ijin. He apparently took some time off since he was coming back home. Daeon also quickly leaves for school as well with his breakfast being already at the table. Seeing which he seems quite surprised. Back to school the girl reveals to Huijin all what Ijin did. When they were just waking up, Huijin arrived at the spot and asked them about what is going on. The girl thinks to stop bullying Daeon for the best. The glare of Ijin scared the shit out of her. But because Huijin's brother basically runs the school, she still thinks it's all good. Back to Daeon. She is once again hit on by Huijin. She tries to drag Daeon with her somewhere, and she tries to ask, where? Pissing off Huijin, who berates for thinking that having a brother changes things for her. She threatens to follow her unless she wants to get beaten the crap out of her here. We then see her getting her ass beat, as Huijin warns her to keep her head down. When she tries to ask why, Huijin reminds her of yesterday's incident, but calls it too bad since she is going to give his brother a sorry-ass welcome in their school today. Daeon tries to ask on what does she mean, and she reveals that the one Ijin hit yesterday was her brother's friends, and they would be paying a visit to her brother now. When she tries to question on what they are trying to do, she is slapped across her face. Just thinking that her brother got into trouble due to her makes Daeon cry. This makes her run away and panic towards her brother. Back to his class, everyone seems surprised. As we see Jisoo Kim and his thugs are here. Daeon also bursts in their class in a hurry. And seeing his sister bruised and hit on like this makes him shocked. Jisoo tries to act up by calling his own sister a bitch for always making him clean up without a worry for him. Huijin comes along stating that she would worry for him when he gets his ass handed to him by someone. Meanwhile, Ijin is left quite speechless and stunned seeing his sister like this. We go back in some time now and see Jaehyung and Hyukjin bullying Yongshan. Hyukjin then takes his turn on throwing eraser on him, throwing it straight on his head. They start to make fun of him as if he is some target practice dummy. But when they try to throw another one, Ijin comes around and blocks it with his backpack. He then casually begins to sit down, while it all rubs Jaehyung the wrong way. They both then plan to talk some sense into him by calling him out after school. Ijin asks Yongshan if he is fine, and he nervously replies that he is. But seeing those two laughing behind, Ijin doesn't think so. Yongshan asks if he is free after school, he can show him around if he wants to afterwards. But Ijin replies that he is walking home with his sister. When Yongshan asks if she also transferred here, Ijin reveals that she already studies here, Daeonyu. The name makes him freeze for a second, and Ijin asks if he knows her. Yongshan hesitantly reveals that his sister is not having the best days of her school right now. She was famous back in middle school for being smart and pretty. A lot of guys liked her, but one day a girl got jealous and started to bully her. Ijin asks if everyone just let it happen, and he replies that it was because she was Jisoo Kim's little sister, the worst thugs of their school. And it got even worse for Daeon now that she is in the same homeroom as that girl. Ijin is surprised to know that his sister is getting bullied just because a boy happened to like her. Yangshan replies that everything starts with a stupid reason behind it. People like them don't need a reason to pick on someone. He then remembers the moment at the table where his grandpa asked Daeyeon about her school life, and she assured him that it was all good. Her grandpa did believe her, as even the teachers only have good things to say about her. Ijin seemed happy hearing that as well, and looked at his sister who instead didn't look great. Ijin thanks Yangshan for letting him know, who hopes that he is not too worried because of it. Suddenly, the door slams open with everyone looking shocked. The petty thugs are in. Hyekjin questions, what are they doing in their class? Jisoo Kim arrives, stating that it's some business. Seeing him here, both of them gets nervous as well. The bullies points towards Ijin as their target, and Jisoo scolds them for getting done in by a scrawny bitch like him. He then gestures Ijin to come towards him, and he casually stands up. Everyone believes that Ijin is screwed now that he has pissed off Jisoo. Ijin confirms Jisoo's identity, who replies that he didn't thought Ijin would have time to find out who he is. His blank stare towards him start to piss Jisoo off, who asks his men to get him. His sister also arrives while being covered with bruises and injuries, and seeing her like this, he is left quite speechless as well. Jisoo calls her the little shuttle of his sister, citing that all his sister does is nag, and asks him clean up things for her. Huijin arrives and tells Jisoo she would worry for him when he gets his ass beat by someone. Meanwhile, Daeyeon starts apologizing to Ijin for dragging him into this mess. Huijin scoffs and calls her a drama queen, but Ijin assures his sister that she has nothing to be sorry for, and quickly takes down the guy in front of him with a single hit. Everyone is shocked to see this, while Ijin tells her that they are the ones who should be sorry. The fat ass rushes Ijin, who easily flicks his hand away, and with a clean hit on his neck, makes him fall on his knees. Another guy takes a swing at him in panic and gets hit in the gut. Jisoo is shocked on what the hell just happened in front of him. Even other students and Huijin is shocked too. And when Ijin tells them that he knows they were giving his sister a hard time, those words makes both of them shudder in fear. Jisoo Kim sneers, telling Ijin that he doesn't appear to be some pushover. But he doesn't reply back anything, and Jisoo Kim begins attacking while cursing. But as he thinks that he got him, he later notices that his kick was easily blocked. While surprised, Jisoo moves on to his next attack, believing that he won't see it coming, but it once again gets blocked. Ijin then grabs his leg, pulls Jisoo towards him, and punches him right in the face, causing Jisoo to fall down as he holds his bleeding nose while cursing. But as he looks up, he sees Ijin standing and staring at him with his cold eyes. Ijin then kicks him right on the face and finally knocks him out with hit. Everyone watches in shock, while Jaehyung and Hyekjin are unable to believe that it's real, as he just knocked out Jisoo Kim. Both Huijin and Daeyeon are left standing shocked as well, with Huijin wondering, what the hell is this? Ijin then starts walking towards Huijin and her friend, who are sweating hard and are scared shitless. He looks at her in anger and clenches his fist tightly, while Huijin is in shock and denial, hoping that he is not going to hit her as well. But Daeyeon steps in and grabs his arm to stop him, though Ijin argues that they have been bullying her all this time. Daeyeon is quite surprised hearing this, and Ijin continues, if isn't it what they did today to her as well? She seems to be happy about it, and wonders, how did he knew? Suddenly, she realizes that Ijin is once again fighting because of her. And so, she smiles and tells Ijin that she is fine, so he should stop now. And Ijin agrees and decides to walk Daeyeon all the way to her classroom. And they both simply walks past by, while everyone is too stunned to do anything. Everyone is still in shock, wondering if one kid really just decked Jisoo Kim's whole crew like that. Jaehyung and Hyekjin are also in shock and calls Ijin pretty hardcore for this, and are glad that they didn't jump him, while Yangshan looks in silence. Huijin is still shivering and calls her brother and his friends idiots for falling like that. On the way, Daeyeon tells Ijin that he seems really good at fighting, which he kind of agrees with. She then apologizes to Ijin again, and he asks, what for? She replies, because she dragged him into this mess. Yesterday he had to fight because of her, and now this happened. But he smiles and tells her to not say that, as it's supposed to be this way. Ijin remembers back and tells Daeyeon that back where he used to live, everyone only had their own interest at heart. They never cared about what happened to others, as long as they didn't suffer. But even those people act differently sometimes, and that was only when their own families were involved. Daeyeon asks with interest, their family? It always made him wonder, what is family? And why is it so important? Daeyeon replies, but he barely remembers both her and Grandpa, which Ijin agrees with, and says that he still don't remember much from back then. But still it doesn't change the fact that they are family, he believes, as she looks up to him hearing that. But as they are talking, girls starts to surround Ijin and startles Daeyeon. And so, she tells Ijin that she is fine now, so he should return back to his class, though he argues that he wants to walk her to her homeroom. And she replies, this is her homeroom, and waves at him while telling him, see you later. And as she goes inside her classroom, Ijin gives off a warm smile. Now back to class 3-2, as Ijin returns, everyone starts talking about him and looks at him in surprise. Jaehyung and Hyekjin speaks up, telling Ijin that he beat them all really hard and butchered them like noobs in excitement, and calls him really awesome for doing that. Now as Ijin sits down at his seat, Yongshan speaks up as well, telling him that he also thought that he was pretty cool, and Ijin smiles hearing that. Meanwhile, we switch scenes to Jisoo Kim, who is quite pissed, thinking that there is something different about Ijin, as he doesn't fight like a typical school thug. Huijin asks him if he is going to keep sitting around like that, assuming that Jisoo Kim was caught off guard, and suggests to finish him off later. But everyone is silent, and Huijin shouts at them if they are really going to sit around like that for one more on. But Jisoo Kim gets pissed at her and tells her to shut up and finish him off herself if she thinks it's that easy. Huijin tells him to not take out his anger on her, as it's not her problem that he got his ass handed to him by some guy. Hearing which makes Jisoo Kim even more pissed. And so, Huijin turns back and leaves while slamming the door. She thinks of them all as losers, as they couldn't even handle one guy. And remembering Daeyeon walk along with her brother pisses her off as she clenches her teeth tightly. Now she angrily storms into the class, while glancing at Daeyeon, and again tries to pick a fight with Daeyeon, calling her a lucky bitch, as now she can come to school without a care in the world, since she can go running to her brother if anything happens. But Daeyeon ignores her completely, causing her to get pissed, as everyone is watching this as well. But Huijin once again remembers Ijin's glare and wonders, would she now just have to let Daeyeon do whatever she wants? Which she clearly doesn't plan to, as she thinks, like hell she will let it go like that. Now after school, Daeyeon seems to be lost in thoughts. She remembers Ijin's words, that they should be the ones sorry, not her, and him beating up all of her bullies. And his warm smile, when he told her that they are family. She wonders if it means that she can come to school without problems now. She remembers the time when they used to bully her. They made her fetch them food, and got beaten up for merely talking back. All this makes her question if it means that they won't hurt her anymore. Ijin speaks up and asks her if something is on her mind, and she gets startled from hearing his voice. He tells her that he called her name a few times, and she apologizes, and asks if he was waiting for her again. He smiles and replies he was, since he don't know the way home. While walking back, she happily talks to Ijin about usual stuff, like buying groceries and all that, and about how their grandpa always lights up when she prepares dinner for him. And we see Huijin and her friends standing back and watching them, with Huijin being annoyed seeing her smile like that. She then smiles, saying that they would see how long it will last. Now at the market, we see Daeyeon pondering, which one should she get? And people around once again starts to stare at Ijin and comment on his looks. And as Daeyeon notices it, she thinks that while she knew that he was popular at school, but he also stands out even outside as well. She asks Ijin if he ever had a girlfriend at home. Ijin doesn't get it, and wonders if she means a girl as a friend, and she clarifies, a girl who he was dating, she means, and he denies. Daeyeon asks for his reason, since he seems pretty popular with girls, and Ijin thinks what to answer. And he ends up replying that he was busy, causing Daeyeon to think that it was a stupid question, since he would have been busy trying to adjust to an unfamiliar country. And in return, Ijin asks her if she has a boyfriend, someone who she is dating, and she gets surprised hearing that and denies. He asks her why not, and she also seems to think, what can she answer? And in the end, she also goes for the same answer, that she was busy as well. Now fast forward, back at their home, Ijin receives a phone from his grandpa. He tells Ijin that he heard everyone has one like this nowadays, so while he don't know if he would like it, it's a good phone, or so he was told. Daeyeon notes that it's the latest model as well. Ijin looks at it, and his grandpa tells him that he already saved both his and Daeyeon's number in it. Daeyeon is surprised to know that, since she always helped him with those things, and he replies that a salesperson helped him. She replies, why did he not ask them to do it, as they would have if he asked, and he replies that he just wanted to do it himself. Hearing his answer surprises both Ijin and Daeyeon. He continues on, that he heard opening new things matter a lot to young people, so he hopes that it's okay with Ijin that he already opened it to save the numbers, and he happily agrees. Grandpa also tells Daeyeon to not get upset, since he would get her one as well soon, but she replies that there is no need, since hers is working fine still. And seeing them like this, Ijin smiles and thanks his grandpa for the present. Now at night, Ijin smiles while using his new phone. He messages Major Kong, asking him to contact on his number from now on. Major Kong notices that Ijin has a new number, and the sergeant asks if he not gave him a new phone, to which Major Kong replies, he did. So the sergeant says that perhaps Ijin got a new phone already, which annoys Major Kong, since he already got him the top model. Fast forward to morning, as Ijin comes out of bath, he sees Daeyeon running up to school while saying, "See you later." He asks her if she is leaving early again, and she replies, she is, and she is running late as well. And so, she quickly leaves while telling Ijin to leave the dishes in the sink when he is done, as he notices that she already prepared fresh breakfast for him. Now while running to school, she notices the time, thinking that she would be able to make it on time. She thinks on the way that while making the soup took longer than she expected, she is glad that her grandpa liked it. Her mood seems really nice, and she smiles while being glad that she was able to do something good for her grandpa. Suddenly, some people kicks her to the side and she falls on the ground. The girl tells her to watch her step, and that she almost broke her ankle. This causes Daeyeon to be left stunned. The girl asks Daeyeon to apologize to her, which she does, but the girl slaps her for not doing it correctly, and she starts to get scared due to it. One of the girl behind suggests to let some steam off at the karaoke, which they all find quite great, stating that they really need to distress. She sits down near Daeyeon, and with an intimidating tone asks her, "Ull come with yous, won't you, Daeyeon?" Daeyeon gets terrified hearing her voice, as she realizes that it's Huijin Kim. Fast forward, and we see them leaving the karaoke, as the owner happily tells them to come again. The owner seems to be going into their booth to clean up, while commenting how bad kids these days are. And when he opens the gate, he finds Daeyeon laying there, completely messed up. The owner panics and asks her if she is alright. Daeyeon barely gets up, replying that she is fine, as she collects her stuff. The owner tries to stop her, suggesting to call an ambulance for her as well, but she doesn't listen and leaves while saying that she is fine. At school, the teacher inquires from student about Daeyeon, since she is not here today, as she finds it quite strange, since she is not someone who misses school without calling in. Huijin gives off a devious smirk, though her friend is worried, as she asks if it's going to be okay, and Huijin replies, "Why wouldn't it be?" Believing that all they did was teach her a lesson, and asks her friend, what is she freaking out about? Daeyeon missing school has nothing to do with them. And while nervous, her friend also pretends to not have done anything, causing Huijin to smirk. After school, Ijin seems to be waiting for Daeyeon again. He tries to look around to find her. He keeps on waiting, but she doesn't arrive, even after all the students have left school. He finally wonders if she has gone home already and tries calling her. Her phone rings, but she ignores and doesn't pick, and stays cooped up inside her blanket. Ijin finally arrives home and notices her shoes on the front porch, realizing that she is indeed home. He goes onto her room and knocks on her door and calls her out. Hearing his voice, she asks if he is home already, and he replies, "So is she?" Daeyeon asks if he was waiting for her again. He agrees, telling her that he also tried to call her, but she didn't answer, and she apologizes, giving off excuse that she was asleep. Ijin notices her voice sounding different and asks to let him in for a second, but she denies, saying that she is bed because she is not feeling well. He asks if she is sick and how bad is it, and she replies that it's just light fever and that she will be fine after getting some sleep, and Ijin believes her and tells her to call him if she needs anything. While walking outside, thinking to go get her some medicine, he suddenly stops. He suddenly notices drops of blood on her shoes, causing a visible change in his expression. A bit later, and we see Ijin is in her room with a medical kit. He asks if it's hurting much, and she replies, it only stings a little, so Ijin tells her to be more careful. He confirms once again, she fell down the stairs while trying to dodge a bicycle, and she agrees, though Ijin says that it looks more as if she had run in with a bike instead. He once again asks if she is sure that she don't want to go see a doctor, and she replies that she is really fine, thinking that if she were to go to the hospital, they would find out that these bruises aren't from falling down the stairs. We get a flashback where Huijin acts annoyed at Daeyeon for complaining and acts innocent herself, asking, why are they asking her on how she hurt herself? Daeyeon argues that it was because she did this, and she denies her involvement. Daeyeon argues that she covered her face with a hat and mask, but she heard her voice, and also the fact that she is always bullying her at school. Huijin says if she is only assuming it was her, even though she didn't saw the face, and just because they haven't been on good terms. The school teacher asks Daeyeon if she saw the face of the person who assaulted her, and she replies that their face was covered, but she is still sure that it was Huijin. Her mom bursts out in anger, telling Daeyeon how dare she calls out her daughter and treat her like a criminal, all because of some hunch. The teacher tries to calm her down, but she doesn't listen. Meanwhile, Daeyeon is left stunned, wondering why isn't anyone believing her, even though there is no doubt that it was Huijin who did it. Huijin's mom gets pissed at Daeyeon and tells her to apologize to her daughter immediately, but she still argues that it was really Huijin who did it. Huijin's mom acts even more like a bitch and tells Daeyeon that she would take it to her parents since she has no manners, and tells her to bring her parents down here, which leaves her speechless, causing her to start crying, while Huijin smirks looking at her, almost as if making fun of her. Back to the present, Daeyeon clutches her hands in frustration, knowing that it's the same situation since she don't have any proof, and she don't want this to worry her grandpa. Looking at her face, Ijin asks if she is okay and checks for fever, but she insists that she is fine. Ijin says that at least her bones doesn't seem broken, though her bruises are pretty bad, so it would hurt her for a few days, causing her to slightly nod her head. She tells Ijin that he is really good at this stuff, and hopes that her grandpa doesn't get too upset on it, since he has a weak heart. Hearing this, Ijin asks about it, and she confirms that he takes pills every day, and so Ijin says that he would make sure that he don't worry, so she should get some sleep. And as Ijin is leaving, she calls him out again and thanks him. And so, he turns back and gives her a warm smile. And as he leaves, she thinks that she did the right thing by not telling him, since there is nothing that a couple of teenagers like them can do about it. Meanwhile, Ijin seems quite pissed and has already thought of what he is going to be doing. Now we switch scenes to some bar, where Jisoo Kim and his henchmen are, who tells him that the whole school is talking about how Ijin managed to beat every one of them, including him. And so, no one knows what to say, and everyone just sits in silence. They ask Jisoo, what is he planning to do now, as they believe that their problem was they underestimated him, and could take him if they plan ahead. They all believe that they cannot let him go like this, and that he cannot beat all of them together. Jisoo Kim thinks that while Ijin is not an easy target, it is true that they cannot let it go, and decides to just roll with it, telling everyone that going one-on-one isn't their style, so they would jump on him with everything tomorrow. Suddenly, Jisoo's phone starts ringing, and it's Huijin, who asks if him and his idiot friends are sitting around the club still. But he asks her to tell him what does she want, or he would hang up, and she replies that he owes her big time now. Jisoo asks, what is she talking about, and she replies that she roughed up Daeyeon today, since they cannot let people know that she is off limits because of what happened. Jisoo smirks, saying that she is his sister indeed, and commends her for doing that, since they had plans on paying Ijin back anyways. While we see someone has entered the club, the person starts walking over to them, as they are surprised to see who it is. And we see it's Ijin, who is seemingly here for his sister, with a quite blank yet serious expression. Jisoo is quite shocked that he is walking into their turf just like that, and Huijin asks, what is he talking about? Ijin glares at him with his sharp gaze, and as Jisoo smirks, and while he in the middle of commenting about wanting a rematch, Ijin smacks one of the guy right on the table by grabbing him by the face and slamming him down, and one other tries to attack him, but before he reaches, Ijin punches him right on the face. All of them are absolutely shocked, as Jisoo orders them to jump at him. But as they try to walk over the table, Ijin kicks one of them away, and then picks him up with one hand and throws him into the wall to the side. The other one tries to attack him, but he easily punches him right to the face as well. One other tries to attack him from behind with a glass bottle, but Ijin smacks his arm, causing the bottle to flick away from his hand. And with that, he punches the guy right on the chin. Another attacks him from behind, but he ducks the swing, and grabs his arm, and turns it at his back, while simultaneously striking him on his face. And when one of them still seems conscious, he knees them right on the face, causing heavy damage. And with that, everyone seems down already, as Jisoo watches in complete shock, wondering what the hell just happened, and where the hell a beast like that came from. Meanwhile, Huijin hears the sounds through the phone, and tires asking, what is going on? Ijin then calls his name out in a cold voice, causing Jisoo to shiver in fear, as Ijin tells him if he would really have to spell it out for him, as he thought that he told him to leave his sister alone. Jisoo is shocked, noting that ganging up on him didn't do shit, as Ijin just boxed them in by knocking the ones on the outside first, and then he attacked them, so they had to go over the table. And it only took him a few seconds to use the structure of the room. And this all causes him to not understand, as he thinks, how can anyone even beat someone like that? Ijin asks him, what did his sister ever did to him? Jisoo tells him to hold on, and tries to act innocent while trying to grab a glass cup. He throws the glass towards him, which Ijin easily dodges by tilting his head slightly. And so, Jisoo grabs a glass bottle and tries attacking him with it, but Ijin easily dodges all the swings. And even with a slight opening, Ijin hits him both at his face and gut simultaneously. Jisoo then tries to punch him, but Ijin easily counters and strikes back right on his face. Jisoo bleeds from his nose and skids back a bit and starts to tremble. He pants hard from getting tired and notes that Ijin is not even out of breath yet, as Ijin asks him, did he really have to go this far to harass such a helpless girl? Jisoo doesn't answer, and instead breaks the bottle to use its sharp end to attack Ijin instead. And as he tries to lunge in for an attack, Ijin easily smacks away the bottle from his hand at high speed, and grabs Jisoo by his neck and slams him down on the table with one hand. He starts to choke heavily, as Ijin presses down on his neck with his elbow. He coughs hard and struggles to try and grapple Ijin and somehow get out of his choke hold, but is unable to do anything. Ijin speaks up and asks Jisoo Kim in a cold voice, what should he do with him? He gives Jisoo a final warning, threatening that he will be back if he hears even a slight rumor that he went near his sister, and he also better keep his sister in line as well. Because if she even touches Daeyeon, then Ijin will be back for him, and he really wouldn't want him here again, as Ijin starts pressing a bit more, leaving Jisoo completely unable to breathe. He tries kicking and flailing around his leg to no avail and pleads to let him go, while Ijin warns him that he won't be holding back next time. And with that, he finally removes his elbow from over his neck, leaving Jisoo coughing heavily and all of his henchmen on the ground. And as Ijin is leaving the bar, we see everyone is quite shocked and startled from what he just did. We switch scenes to Huijin, who starts walking quickly, wondering, what the hell is going on? And gets a bad feeling about this, and she finally arrives at the bar. And from there, they see Ijin walking out, and both of them get startled and scared upon seeing him. She wonders, what should she do? And her face starts to become pale, telling Ijin that he cannot prove that she beat Daeyeon up and tells him to not come any closer. But Ijin doesn't show any reaction whatsoever and simply stares at her. And out of fear, as Huijin keeps on moving back, she slips up on some trash and falls down on her ass. And she seems to have hurt her arm in the process as well, while Ijin's phone starts to ring suddenly. And as he picks up the call, it turns out to be his grandpa. And so, he simply leaves, telling his grandpa that he is on his way, all while staring at Huijin, who is scared upon looking at his eyes. And with that, he leaves without saying or doing anything to both of them. And as she enters the club, she sees everyone is down, including her beaten-up brother, as she asks him, what just happened here? And if he just got his ass hooped by Ijin again, he ignores her question and tells Huijin to stop messing with his sister and leave her alone. But she sighs and feigns ignorance, asking, what is he even talking about? And once again, Jisoo grits his teeth and tells her with anger to leave her the hell alone. She angrily asks him if he is now afraid of that guy or something, but Jisoo tells her to answer his question, but she declines to answer anything. And so, Jisoo shouts at her angrily, causing Huijin to get really scared and startled from his sudden outburst. Jisoo tells Huijin that if she even goes near Daeyeon, he would personally mess her up himself, causing her to get terrified. We switch scenes to Ijin, who encounters his grandpa while walking back home. They both sit around on a bench, and his grandpa apologizes to him for pulling him away from his friends, though Ijin replies that it's fine. He tells Ijin that Daeyeon got injured, and also that she told him Ijin treated her injuries, which he affirms. She also told grandpa that she fell down the stairs, but he doesn't believe it to be the case, and it looked really serious to him, but she is refusing to go to the hospital. He also tells Ijin that he struggled to raise Daeyeon on his own. He has no idea how to raise a young girl, and he was always working to put food on the table, so he couldn't give her anything she needed. So he is thankful that she is able to come this far. And when he looks back on all those years, he feels that she has given him so much more than anything he has been able to give her. He recalls losing everything in that accident, and Daeyeon was the only thing that kept him going. And so now, it breaks his heart to see her so much hurt, and she won't even tell him the real reason behind it either, causing him to assume and say that he is perhaps too old to understand. He heard that kids become distant from their parents as they grow older, so it must be even worse to reach out to an old grandpa, he believes. But Ijin speaks up, saying that while he hasn't been here for long, but some things were obvious to him from the beginning. He could tell just how much he loves Daeyeon, but also just how much she leaves him back as well. Hearing which seems to have comforted him, as Ijin also gives off a warm smile. He then tells him to not worry too much, as he would be keeping an eye out for her at school as well. And so, his grandpa smiles and replies that he don't know how to express it in words, and tells him that he is happy to see him here. Now next day, we see Jisoo Kim is in the hospital, covered up in bandages. His dad comments that he knew that he would get himself into trouble again, and this is what he gets for his shenanigans. His mom shouts at his dad for saying all that to him while he is hospitalized, and ignores his fault, and tells him to instead find the brute who did that to him instead of yelling. And also for what he did to Huijin's arm as well, and her nagging makes his dad sigh. She tells Jisoo to rest and focus on his recovery, and is quite angry, planning to do something about Ijin. And as they leave, he asks Huijin, what was she thinking? Why did she went ahead and told them about this all, since now it looks like he ran to his parents after getting beaten up? She replies, what is she supposed to do then, as she cannot hide the fact that he is in hospital while she has a broken arm. He asks if Ijin did that to her arm, and remembering what happened, she lies straight, that of course, he did. She then gets up and starts to leave, telling Jisoo to wait, as she would go and make sure to Ijin and Daeyeon realize who are they dealing with once and for all. But Jisoo seems nervous and doubtful still of her statement. On the way, their mother tells their dad that she just spoke to Mr. Cha. Their dad is surprised to hear that, and asks, what did she do that for, as it would make it more complicated, and they should let the school take care of it. But she replies that it's Saturday today, so she won't wait for the school. And the school won't get justice to her kids, as they would either suspend or expel them at best. But he still tells her that she had no business in asking someone like Mr. Cha to handle something like this. She replies that she knows enough about him, the fact that he has been handling their dirty work for years, and she has told him everything already, so they would let him handle it. Huijin recognizes Mr. Cha as that scary gangster who works for her dad, and believes that it would be the end of Ijin with this. We switch scenes to Mr. Cha, who henchman finds it embarrassing to be getting in middle of some damn teenagers. And we see that he looks like an old gangster with a large scar running across his face. We get a flashback where Cha confirms with their mom once again if she is asking him to take care of a kid who beat up her children. She also instructs him to do it personally and not through his men, as her daughter has a broken arm and her son is in hospital. So she cannot let someone like him run around free, and Cha sighs, wishing if he could just ignore her. Back to Ijin, who seems to be lost in some thoughts. He remembers the incident with them, and wonders if they would really let it go now. And just then, someone rings their doorbell, and we get to know that someone is here and are looking for Ijin. We see it's Cha's henchman, who tells his grandpa that they just want to talk to Ijin, though both his grandpa and Daeyeon are nervous and reluctant in letting them meet him. But Ijin steps out and tells his grandpa that he would be back soon. But both Daeyeon and his grandpa are still worried as they try to stop him. But he replies that he knows them and tells them to not worry, as they just needs to talk for a while, but his grandpa still looks pale. Now they take him to some construction site, and Ijin wonders, who could it be? And why are they here for him? Cha smokes his cigarettes while his henchman tells him that the kid caught on pretty quick and didn't make a noise and came along quickly. And so, Cha replies that it would make quick for all of their sakes then. One of the henchmen then tells the other to grab him by the arm. And while they are doing that, Cha thinks that he should text to let her know that it's done, while his henchman tells Ijin that they will make it nice and easy for him, though it's still going to hurt. Cha tries to find her number in his phone, while his henchman calls Ijin a poor kid for messing with kids of such people. And so, Ijin realizes and replies, so it's about Jisoo Kim, and Cha also finds her number meanwhile. Though Cha thinks that his henchman shouldn't have said that in front of Ijin, and plans to scold them about it when they get back. But when he glances back at Ijin, he finds it all quite interesting. He notes that Ijin doesn't look scared at all, and there is no emotion on his face either. Ijin suddenly grabs the arm of one of them, and smacks them right on the face with his elbow. It surprises Cha, while the other one gets ready to strike Ijin with a bat while angrily cursing at him. But Ijin dodges the swing by ducking down, and the guy gets ready to strike again, saying that he would teach him a lesson, while Ijin seems to be rushing inside. Cha also notes in surprise that Ijin is charging into a swinging bat. And when he gets close, Ijin grips his bat in between his arm and strikes the guy on his chin and knees on his gut, and then grabs him by the face and smacks him down. Cha chuckles, noting that he followed through with a blow, and that this kid knows exactly what he is doing. One of them grabs Ijin from behind and calls Ijin a dead meat. But Ijin elbows him on his ribs, and when the grip loosens, he again elbows him right on the chin this time, hence defeating them both, with Cha noting that Ijin seems to have a lot of experience in real-life combat. And Ijin looks towards Cha with a blank glare, as Cha says that he isn't an average high school kid. He starts walking towards him, saying that he never thought that he would be fighting a teenager at his age. Meanwhile, Ijin notes that Cha is full of weak points as well. And as they both get close, Cha strikes him, but Ijin dodges, though he is a little surprised. Cha also smirks and tries to land multiple punches, but Ijin dodges every single one of them. And in between his punches, Ijin sees an opening and gets down to his insides. But suddenly, a punch comes right there, which Ijin seems surprised to see, and it connects as well. But he seems to have blocked it and gets back a little. Cha is quite surprised that Ijin was able to block it. Ijin then glances at his hand, wondering if Cha knew that he would move in, and it was like he knew and waited for the right moment. Cha tells Ijin that he was counting on that blow to knock him out and asks for his real identity, but Ijin replies that he's just a high school student. Cha calls him a bastard, noting that he doesn't fight like a sloppy teenager. He charges towards his opponent knowing that he would take damage, which takes a certain level of experience and guts. And yet, Ijin goes right in for the kill without a second thought. Ijin takes his stance again, with Cha saying he is getting ready for the next round. Cha rushes in again, telling Ijin, let's see what he is really made of, but he easily blocks his strike and counters with Cha barely dodges. Cha tries to land another punch, but he grabs his arm and strikes him right to his side, which shocks Cha, as he finds it impossible. Cha tries to punch again, but he easily deflects and counters with his own punch, with Cha noting that Ijin is using his attacks to round up for his own. And so, he starts to get pissed, and again tries to punch, telling him mentally to not think that his little tricks will work on him. But Ijin once again casually blocks his attack completely, and strikes with his palm right on his chin, and also a punch right on his gut. And as Cha loses his momentum, Ijin once again attacks his chin, causing him to spit blood, as he thinks that he really got his ass hooped by a damn teenager. And when he looks at Ijin's eyes, he notes that it looks as if he wasn't even slightly worried by this fight to begin with. And while he don't know where this kid came from, but those brats messed with the wrong person this time, as Cha thinks while looking at Ijin. We switch scenes to Inbi Kim Company. Their mom tells their dad that he should call Mr. Cha, as they haven't heard from him yet, and he replies to wait, as he would call himself when he is done. And Huijin also sighs almost as if it's done already. And finally the phone ring, and their mom tells to put it on speaker, as she wants to listen as well. Picking up the call, Cha greets them, and their dad apologizes to him for the ridiculous favor that his wife asked for, and she argues that it's not ridiculous as their kids were attacked. But Cha replies that he is afraid he is the one who has to apologize, and Inbi asks, what does he mean? And Cha replies that he is afraid that their kids messed with the wrong person this time, causing their mom to be confused. And he finally tells them that Ijin got him, causing their dad to get shocked, as Cha is the best fixer in the business. How can he lose to a high school kid? And as Cha tells them that he is not just good at combat, we see their office door seems to be opening, as they both look towards it. And when the gate opens, their whole family is left completely shocked. And we see that Ijin is here, while in the background, Cha tells them that Ijin is more than some average teenager. Ijin slowly starts to close the gate behind, as we see multiple guards lies knocked out on the ground in his wake. Cha hears some noises on the call, and realizes that he is there already, and now he is really curious on who that kid actually is. Though regardless of that, he thinks that it still doesn't change the fact that he got beat up by a kid. Back to Ijin, seeing him, Huijin stands up in shock. Her mom shouts at him that it was him who did all that to her kids, but their dad tells her to calm herself. He questions Ijin, how did he got into his office, and he replies, past the men he had blocking the entrance. Inbi is quite shocked upon knowing that he really managed to defeat Mr. Cha and his security, but even more than that, he is curious as to how Ijin was able to find him. Their mom tells Ijin to not give them an attitude, and if he really thinks that he can get away with anything, just because he can beat up a couple of kids. And so, on the pretense on teaching him some manners, she decides to report him for assault on his kids and security, as well as breaking into the office. Huijin also smirks, thinking that her mom is right, as while Ijin might be good at fighting, but it won't matter if the police gets involved, believing that he cannot possibly do anything then. She tells Ijin that she would be calling the district attorney on him, threatening him that he has no idea who he is dealing with. And Ijin replies that he does have a pretty good idea. Her husband is a second-term assembly member now running for office. And their mom replies, and it somehow didn't stop him, due to which, she says that it's obvious that kids like him don't know what that means in real world. Huijin also smirks, mumbling that his game is over now. But Ijin looks completely calm, as we see their mom has called the attorney, and while she is in the middle of talking, she hears a scream, and sees a video where some student is being bullied by her daughter, with clear evidence that she is the one who has done it. It shocks Huijin as well, as we can even hear and see her slapping the kid in the video. Even her dad is completely shocked, as they overhear how Huijin was bullying those kids. Huijin was stealing their hard-earned money, leaving them with nothing, telling the already broke student to go and become a prostitute to get her even more money. In complete shock, she cuts the call with the attorney, telling him that she would call him back. Huijin asks Ijin, how did he even got those, though he doesn't reply anything. We get a small flashback and sees Ijin getting those files from a computer from their home. She tries telling her dad that she had a good reason for doing this, but he tells her to shut her mouth, causing her to get scared. Ijin tells them that he also have files involving Jisoo Kim as well, and for some reason, their kids kept on filming the acts of their conquests. Some clips shows them beating up kids at school or in alleys, as well as dozens of clips of them extorting money and valuables from their victims, and the latest clips shows his sister getting assaulted by a group of girls at a karaoke. Hearing which, Huijin trembles, but her mom, being a Karen, shouts at Ijin to not dare threaten them, and warns if he really thinks that he would get away with it. But he replies that he wasn't the one who started this, and it's also hardly a threat compared to hiring a bunch of gangsters to assault him, which he has recorded as well. And with a face palm, and tells Ijin if he did all this to Jisoo and Huijin because they assaulted his sister first. Ijin replies that as a parent, he would take his children's side at all costs, and as a brother, he would do whatever it takes to protect his sister. And so, he agrees and offers to pay for her treatment and also some heft amount to make some amends, but Ijin tells him that it won't be requited, which surprises him, and asks, what does he want then? Would he like his kids to apologize to his sister? Hearing which makes Huijin furious, as she thinks that there is no way she is doing that. But Ijin rejects that as well, stating that it bring the time back which she had to spend in pain, and his kids wouldn't mean it either. And so, he asks him that he wants his sister to never have to see Jisoo Kim and Huijin again. And hearing his demand shocks Huijin, as she wonders, what the hell is he talking about? But their father agrees to have them transferred, and better yet, even to send them abroad, which shocks both Huijin and their mom, though he quickly shuts them down. He asks Ijin if that would be enough to satisfy him, and he replies that he would like them to be gone tomorrow. And so, their dad tells Ijin that he would let the school know, completely shocking Huijin. And as Ijin is leaving, their dad stops him and tells him that he would like him to hand over the originals of all the videos that he found, as he has agreed to his demands. But Ijin glares at him for asking this, which sends shivers down his spine, causing him to wonder, how can those deadly eyes belong to a child as young as his own son, as Ijin tells him that he must have taken him as some kind of idiot. And with stutter in his voice, he admits, saying that it was his mistake. And with that, Ijin leaves while their family is left utterly despaired. Fast forward, and we see Ijin arriving back home, with his grandpa and Daeyeon welcoming him back in worry. His grandpa asks him if they heard him, and he replies, they didn't, with a smile. He replies that they seem like dangerous people, and Ijin says that they only stopped by to talk. Daeyeon speaks up that something about them didn't felt right, and both her and grandpa were really worried about him. But he tells her to worry about herself and asks her, how is she feeling? And she nervously replies, much better, and seeing her expression, he tells her to not worry, as she would never have to fall down the stairs again, as he got rid of it all. Hearing which, she is left confused. Fast forward to school, Daeyeon tells Ijin that he don't have to walk her to class, as she is completely fine already, and he agrees and smiles in return. And so, they both part ways to their class while saying, see you to each other. Now as she enters the class, her mood is still grim, as she wanted to stay at house longer, but her grandpa and Ijin would have been worried. Suddenly, she overhears some conversation that Huijin won't be coming to school anymore, and it makes other students in class really happy as well. Daeyeon is really surprised to learn that Huijin is moving abroad, and she suddenly remembers what Ijin told her at night, that she don't have to worry about falling down the stairs ever again, since he got rid of it all. She quickly runs back to the hallway, thinking that Ijin knew about it all, and calls out his name. And as he looks back, we see Daeyeon is really lost at words for her brother and really emotional. She don't understand and wonders, what should she say now? But Ijin smiles and says, see you later. This causes her to burst into tears, as she replies, see you as well. We move on to Huijin's friends, who questions if it's really true that she is moving overseas. Some of them were shocked upon hearing that, though the short-haired girl asks, why is she going so suddenly? The red-haired asks if she didn't saw her at school today, and she replies, she wasn't at school today, and neither was Jisoo Kim, causing them to wonder if he is gone too. They ask Ayeong if she is not going to say anything about this, who gets startled by it, and seems to be quite terrified. The short-haired once again asks Ayeong if Huijin is seriously moving overseas, she should know since they are in the same class. And Ayeong gets really nervous, saying that it looks true, as their teacher announced it today in the class, causing them to wonder what the hell is going on. They asks if she tried calling her, and Ayong replies that she is not picking up, nor is she reading any of her texts, causing all of them to assume that it's true. Ayong remembers that she has not been able to reach her since that text, and it's the last thing that Huijin has told her, causing her to theorize and wonders if her moving has anything to do with him. Though, she quickly tries to deny that possibility, deeming it impossible, though her friends are bummed out about losing her, since while she was a bitch, she has the fattest wallet. Suddenly, Huijin arrives, shocking everyone. She is really pissed off and annoyed, as she barely snuck herself out of her home right now. They asks if she is really moving overseas, and also, what happened, and she replies that it sort of just happened, and that she would be back after 1 semester. We see her dad telling her to spend a semester there. Meanwhile, he would fix everything by the time she comes back. She asks if he promises, and he replies they cannot have those videos out for the world to see. Her friend smirks, saying, "What is the point to that, since it's just a long vacation?" And Huijin agrees with that notion. Her friend asks, "Why so sudden? And if Jisoo is going as well?" And Huijin replies that it's a family matter, she don't need to know, while thinking that she cannot tell them that it's all because of that bitch. Her friends then asks, how did it went with Daeyeon and her brother, as they are unable to get hold of Jisoo or any of his friends. Huijin knows that Jisoo would kill her if he tells her friends that they all got beat up by one guy, and tells them that she is sure they handled it, while cursing Daeyeon for all this humiliation in her mind. She is really pissed, unable to process the fact that Daeyeon will gloat so much now due to all of this. And so, she makes another stupid decision, telling her friends that they should do one more number on Daeyeon, causing Ayong to lash out in retaliation. But Huijin is not scared, telling her friends that just imagining how cocky Daeyeon will be in school after she is gone makes her really pissed, so she wants to finish the job before leaving Korea. Ayong tries to call her out, but Huijin smirks, saying that she is going to have her mom fire his grandpa from his job, so it would teach Daeyeon to not mess with someone like her. Suddenly, she overhears someone saying that they are really glad that they are here, as she turns around to look who it is. And she is left shocked, as we see Ijin is here with mask and a hoodie on. She stands up while in panic, though Ijin feigns ignorance, and asks, "Who is that?" Huijin is really terrified, and tries to argue that she knows, and her friend seems a bit nervous as well, recognizing that it's Daeyeon's brother, and questions, why is he here? Ijin tells them that he came here to see what kind of fun they are getting into, and it looks like everyone from the video is here today. Her friends asks, what the hell is he talking about? And Ijin replies that they know what he is talking about. It's the same place where they filmed Daeyeon, didn't they? Huijin and Ayong are absolutely terrified, with the former thinking if Iji was waiting for them to meet. And her friends are also left quite speechless and nervous. And seeing their faces, he asks, why are they not singing now, since they all like to scream along to loud music, don't they? And we see Ijin slowly closing the gate, with his eyes having a deep red glow in them, leaving us to our imagination on what happened next. Back in the hospital, her dad asks, why isn't Huijin around here? And Jisoo replies that she stepped out to say bye to her friends, causing her dad to get angry, as he says that she should have stayed put until they got her on that plane. Suddenly, a guy comes panicking while calling him out, and as their father asks, what is it? The guy turns on the TV, telling him that he should see this. And we see the news, showing the videos of their kids beating up other students, as the news channels calls it all outrageous, and also that there are dozens of videos, along with suspicion that there are many more incidents without any record. The civic groups and politicians alike are now proposing a special bill in order to bring the culprits to justice. Jisoo and his parents are shocked, as the news outlet confirms that the culprits are indeed the children of candidate NB Kim. We switch scenes to Ijin, who has finished up his work, and while on the way, someone calls him out. And it turns out to be Cha, who asks him, what did he do that for, as he thought that he had cut a deal with Mr. Kim. Ijin thinks back, noting that he had to act quick and under the radar to protect his identity, not to mention he was up against a powerful politician. He knew that it had to be done quietly, and he thought it'd be over if he could just get them out of Daeyeon's way. But the reason he gives to Cha is that he is petty. Cha asks if this is his excuse, and if he really thinks that they would let him get away with this, and Ijin replies that he is sure that he would be the last thing on his mind. Back to Kim family, we see the news outlet also reporting about various corruption by NB Kim, including money laundering, bribery, election fraud, and the evidence is so conclusive that his fellow party members are voicing for a strict investigation, and they are trying to cut him off to prevent any damage to them, causing NB to be completely shocked, realizing that it's over for him. Cha nervously realizes and asks that he somehow managed to find his data that he kept of Mr. Kim, didn't he? Noting that he kept that data as a safety net in case things ever went south, as he asks Ijin, who is he really? And Ijin simply walks by, replying that he is just an average teenager, causing Cha to smirk as he comments that there is not a damn thing that's average about him. Fast forward to next day, once again we see girls being quite in awe of Ijin as they look over at him and blushes, wanting to speak to him. We see he has received texts from Daeyeon that she would be going home herself, so he should go and hang out, which he seems to be giving a thought about. And Ijin wonders, how does he do that? And just then, Yangshan comes along and greets him, commenting that Ijin is early again. And he also greets him back. Yangshan asks if he is busy today as well. Ijin says today, and Yangshan quickly remembers and replies that he walks home with his sister every day, don't he? But Ijin tells him that he is free today, and so he asks Ijin if he wants to hang out after school today, which he agrees to. Suddenly, Jaehyung and Hyekjin also calls out to Ijin, commenting that they heard the news, that he is the reason that Jisoo Kim was moving abroad. Learning which surprises Yangshan, as Hyekjin continues that Jisoo won't be leaving that country anytime soon, and how their whole family is screwed. Other students are also surprised to know that, but Ijin tells them that they have heard wrong. But Jaehyung tells him to not be modest, as he heard that he even jumped Jisoo and his goons at their own hideout a couple of days ago. And Hyekjin says that they know he slaughtered all of them by himself. Everyone is saying that he was too humiliated to come back to school, which Hyekjin believes serves him right, since he walked around like he owned the place. And how did he even beat him so bad that he wanted to leave the country? This all causes Yangshan to note that Ijin is really good at fighting, and the thing that happened that day in their class wasn't just a fluke. Hyekjin leans on Yangshan and invites Ijin to celebrate with them, as they won't be seeing Jisoo ever again. Jaehyung also wants to hang out with him, commenting that it's been days he has been here, yet they never went out, and he would also show him around the area since he is new. But Ijin apologizes and rejects their offer, saying that he already got plans today, and they asks, plans for what? And he replies that he is going to hang out with Yangshan today. Knowing which, Jaehyung also jumps in, saying that they would go with them as well then. And same goes for Hyekjin, who also says, of course they will, in an almost intimidating tone, causing Yangshan to agree out of fear. And so they leave, saying that they would catch up with them later, and Ijin asks him if he is okay with this, and he agrees reluctantly. And just then, the teacher arrives and tells everyone to settle down. And we see two students following her, and Yangshan seems surprised and recognizes who they are. Ijin asks Yangshan if he knows them, and he replies, there isn't anyone who doesn't, as that girl is apparently Yona Sin. Her grandpa owns SW Corporation, the biggest company in Korea. And the guy next to her is Seokju Ko. Yangshan heard that he has always been by her side ever since they were little. People say that he is being trained as her assistant and bodyguard. The teacher tells the students there is no need for her to introduce them. They have been studying in the US for past 2 years and will be joining their class starting from today. Both Hyekjin and Jaehyung are bummed out, thinking that first it was Ijin and now it's Seokju Ko, which makes them plan to lay low until graduation. Yangshan also realizes why was there 2 extra seats in their classroom. It was for them too. And looking at Yona, he finds her more prettier than he remember, as we see all the boys are in awe of her beauty as she passes by. Seokju quickly notices Ijin, and we see them both glaring at each other. And while walking by, Yona also takes notices of Ijin as she glances at him. She asks Seokju, who is that, and if he is a celebrity, but he replies that he is not sure, as he wasn't in the evaluation report that he received a week ago, so he would check it again. She starts to stare at Ijin, who notices her glare. And so, Ijin glances back at her with no interest, and Yona smiles in return. But Ijin completely ignores her, causing her to pout, thinking that Ijin just blew her off like that. Yangshan asks Ijin if there is any place that he wants to go later, and he replies that he would go wherever he wants to. And Yangshan suggests to go to a gaming room, which really surprises Ijin for some reason, as Yangshan tells him that there is quite a nice place nearby with upgraded PCs. We get a flashback of the military, where they are taking lessons on life training program, and explains that the one thing every Korean teenager must know, it's the gaming room. And we see Ijin taking those lessons. The major explains that it allows for anyone to use one of their personal computer for a certain fee. Students and adults are both allowed to use it. Ijin questions, what do they do there? And Major replies that it's a good question and explains that some uses internet or watch online videos, but most people are playing games. And in the case of your average high school student, Over 90% of them will be playing some kind of computer game, which surprises Ijin. The major begins with the introducing some of the most common games. And not only that, we see many of the officers playing games on the PC, and upon losing, one of them literally says that it's the map's fault, not there. Back to the present, Ijin gets all serious, as he thinks that he knew he could rely on Major's intel for this, and calls him really good at these stuff. Yangshan also tells him that they would have some ramen at the game room, and maybe go to Koinka, which is something that again surprises him. As he recalls that it was also in the Major's brief, it is something that high schooler frequents too, a coin karaoke. The establishment allows for sing-alongs with mere coins, and so he suggests Ijin to prepare a few songs in case he needs to sing, and decides to send him a list of popular ones with kids his age, which Ijin very seriously agrees to. And so he is lost in quite thought, and starts thinking hard about it, almost as if it's his big challenge. And Yangshan notes that he looks really serious, and thinks that perhaps he don't like ramen or to sing. Now after school, we see Yona sitting and watching kids go home. Seokju informs her about Ijin-yu, that he is someone who transferred here a few days ago, and he is 18 years old, and also Daeun's older brother, and Yona recognizes her. Though she recalls and says that she thought her grandpa was her only family, and Seokju agrees that she has been living with him since both her parents and her brother died in a plane crash. And so, it surprises her to know that Ijin is her brother. Seokju finds it hard to believe that her dead brother suddenly came back to life, and right before their return to school as well, and so he decides to dig a little deeper into Ijin-yu's character. Now fast forward at night, we see Ijin heading home after having a night out with the boys, and just then his phone starts to ring due to messages. And we see that he is in a group with Yangshan, Jaehyung, and Hyekjin, who are surprised about Yangshan turning out to be a challenger. We get a flashback of the gaming room, where Yangshan apparently carried them through the game, and even cleared up all Ijin's mess. Jaehyung asks, "It's his Smurf account, isn't it?" And Yangshan agrees. And so Jaehyung asks, what rank is his main account? Diamond, Master. But Yangshan blushes and replies that it's Challenger, leaving both Jaehyung and Hyekjin shocked, though Ijin doesn't understand what they mean by that. Back to the present, they tell Ijin to level up his gaming skills, as he really shit all over the map and Yangshan had to do the cleanup, and reading these messages causes Ijin to get a bit nervous. And on the way to home, he also encounters Daeyeon, who greets him and says, there he is. Ijin asks her, what is she doing out? And she replies that they ran out of garbage bags, and she also picked out some snacks on the way. Ijin asks to carry the bags for her, but she declines, stating that it's not heavy. She then asks if he was hanging out with his friends, and he replies that he was. Daeyeon smiles, noting that he has already made friends, and she is glad that people didn't avoid him due to the fight, and asks Ijin, where did they went? And he replies, game room, which surprises her, as she thought that he would have slightly different interests since he lived overseas for so long. Suddenly, Ijin asks her, how is she? How is her school? He means. She is taken back for a moment and tells him to not worry about her, as school hasn't been this fun in years for her. She asks if he had dinner yet, and quickly assumes that he probably had with his friends, and he replies that he did, as they had all kinds of food at the game room. He asks Daeyeon, what about her? And she replies, she hasn't, as she is waiting to get home so she can eat together with Grandpa, as he would be back home soon. This causes Ijin to ask if he can eat with them as well, but Daeyeon replies in confusion that she thought that he ate already. And Ijin replies nervously that he only ate a little, and he is hungry again. Back at his home, we see the grandpa complimenting Daeyeon for cooking great food, and she replies that it's just some fried eggs and ham. But he still commends her making soup as well, and seeing their interaction, Ijin smiles happily. He asks Ijin as well if it isn't good, and he replies that it really is, causing her to chuckle while being embarrassed. Seeing his family happy like this and eating food together, Ijin seems to be lost in some thoughts. He remembers that he had to eat some quick old candy in between explosions and being on risk of having killed by the enemy. Now back in his room, we see his belly full of food, though he is happy regardless. And just then, his phone starts to ring, and it turns out to be Major Kong, who reminds Ijin again to call him bro like he told him and asks, how is he? To which he replies that he is good, and so, Major Kong asks if anything exciting happened at school. But Ijin goes silent hearing his question, causing Major Kong to ask, what is it? But when he still doesn't reply, all of them get scared, as Major Kong asks to tell him right now if he killed someone. The boys behind Major Kong also asks if Ijin killed someone already, and what will they do now? But Ijin nervously replies he didn't, though he did ran into some confrontation, but it was resolved quickly, and so, Major Kong asks if there is anything that he can do for him then. The boys behind yells at Ijin to just say the word, and they would be there for him. But Ijin replies that it's fine, and there is nothing for them to worry about, and Major Kong replies that it's good to hear, but he must never forget that they are always there for him. And Ijin happily agrees. Back at school, we see Jaehyung and Hyekjin are hanging out with Yongshan now, noting that Ijin isn't here yet. And before he gets here, Hyekjin makes fun of him on how bad he is at game, something which Jaehyung agrees with. And suddenly, just out of curiosity, Jaehyung asks, who does they think will win if Ijin and Seokju were to get into a fight? Hyekjin replies that while Ijin is good, he is no match for Seokju, as he was trained in combat ever since he was a kid. One's a pro, and other is an amateur. Jaehyung agrees with that, stating that Seokju is one tough guy. Yongshan asks if it's true that Seokju once fought 20 guys alone and won, and Hyekjin replies that it was 30 guys, which really surprises Yongshan, as Jaehyung says that when a group of street thugs were harassing Yona Sin, he just went and wiped them out. It started at 10 guys, and they kept coming, but even 30 guys weren't enough to stop Seokju. He walked out without a scratch, while 30 dudes were left unconscious on the street. Yongshan is really amazed hearing this, and asks about the story, where he caught the kidnappers who got Yona, as he heard that all of those people were retired soldiers. And Hyekjin replies that it's probably true as well, but in any case, he believes that Ijin doesn't stand a chance against Seokju, as he is on a whole other level. Meanwhile, we see Ijin encountering Seokju in the hallway, who asks him, what is he? Ijin replies that he don't understand what he is trying to ask him, and he replies that he is asking why is he lying about his identity to be here. But Ijin doesn't say anything back, and Seokju continues that he heard he had a hand in Jisoo and Huijin Kim moving away, to which he replies that they did had a disagreement, but he had nothing to do with them moving away. Seokju asks if that's so, and then asks about the fact that he contacted the school that he supposedly previously attended, and they told him that they never heard of a student like him. This causes Ijin to give a serious glare at Seokju. Meanwhile, in Daeon's class, we see Yona has approached her as well, seemingly to ask about Ijin perhaps. Daeon tells Yona that she didn't know that she is back in Korea, and she replies that she just started school again yesterday here. She also tells Daeon that she is in her brother's homeroom class, which surprises her a little, as she asks, really? Yona then replies that she doesn't remember her having a brother before, and Daeon replies, and agree, saying that they thought he had died in the crash with her parents 10 years ago, but he survived, as it turns out. And they received word that he was still alive about 6 months ago. We now get a flashback to when her grandpa received the call. He was trembling and left stunned, as Daeon asked him, what's the matter? He starts to cry, while telling Daeon that her brother, Ijin, is alive with a smile on his face. And that moment left Daeon speechless as well. Yona doubts and asks, how come they didn't know about this for all those years, and if he was alive, why didn't he reach out to him for all that time? She replies that he lost all of his memory in that crash, and the person who called them told them that he recently began to remember things, and someone helped them find and get in touch with him. This part seems to surprise Yona, as she confirms that he just lost his memory and got it back recently, and Daeon agrees, saying that it's barely a faint memory of having a grandpa and a younger sister that he has. This causes Yona to have some thoughts and doubts judging from her expressions, but she smiles and tells Daeon that her grandpa must have been really happy. And she replies that he really was. After he got the phone call, he just cried for hours on end, and then he immediately got time off from work and took cooking classes, and Yona asks about it. Daeon excitedly tells her that her grandpa was trying to cook better Korean food since her brother probably didn't have much growing up, causing Yona to say that her grandpa is really caring, a notion which she happily agrees with. But Yona expresses her doubts and asks Daeon if she is sure that he is her brother, causing her to get confused by her question for a second. Yona says that she means if they checked everything to make sure that he is, and she replies he is definitely her brother, as they even took DNA tests. And her grandpa also said that he still looks the same as he did when he was little, and since Daeon brought up DNA tests, Yona thinks that perhaps he is not fake after all. But regardless, Daeon asks Yona, why is she asking about her brother anyways? This question surprises her, as she gets nervous and doesn't know what to say. And so, she frantically ends up asking Daeon if her brother has a girlfriend, which confuses her. Back to Ijin and Seokju, Ijin asks him, what is he trying to say here? And Seokju replies with a question, what is so important at this school that he forged his records just to be here? And Ijin asks if he is trying to accuse him that his records are faked here, and Seokju replies that they must be, as according to his research, he never lived in the city that his documents claimed, and the school that he says he attended hasn't even heard of him. Ijin doesn't even flinch at his questions and asks Seokju for proof, to which he is taken by surprise. Ijin continues that since he is claiming that the records that he submitted to this school are fake, he is asking if he has any proof to back up his claim in return. Seokju is left speechless by this, as he thinks, what the hell? He found out about his lie by digging around people connected to that school, due to which he does not have any tangible proof, yet he is sure that he was never there. He also wonders, how can Ijin just flat out ask him for proof? And he also notes the fact that he is not even startled, not even a slight flinch, and it's almost as if he is trying to accuse him falsely. Ijin then questions, why is he running a background check on him? And Seokju replies that he cannot just sit around watching a suspicious kid who might be a threat. Both of them silently glares at each other, and Ijin tells him that he was coming back home, which once again Seokju doesn't understand. Ijin replies that it's the answer to his question about why did he came here for, and leaves with that. Meanwhile, Seokju still tries to act oversmart, thinking that now that he knows his records are fake, it won't take him too long to find tangible proof. Back in class, Ijin notes that they both just transferred here yesterday, and yet he managed to find all that information about him in less than a day. And so, this puts him in some thoughts. Jaehyung and Hyekjin comes around and asks Yongshan to come with them to rank up the clan, and also asks Ijin if he is coming, who replies, not today, as it's his grandpa's birthday today apparently. And so, Hyekjin replies that they can just go hang by themselves then, and Yongshan agrees. Back to Yona, Seokju informs him that while he don't have any evidence yet, he is sure that Ijin has definitely forged the records he gave to the school, so they cannot rule out the chance that the DNA test might be tampered as well. And he apparently found out one or more thing about Daeyeon in his research. Yona asks, what is it? And he replies that she was severely bullied by Jisa Kim and his sister for the past 2 years in this school. She is quite surprised to learn that, and asks, how bad was it? And Seokju replies, enough to make him wonder how she even stayed in school. Her video wasn't released in all that news coverage, but it's just as bad, causing Yona to get shocked, as she questions angrily, just what the hell is wrong with those kids? And Seokju tells her that it's the reason why he thinks Ijin made his move. Jisa Kim and his goons were ambushed by Ijin twice. Yona smiles hearing that, saying that her estranged brother comes back from the dead and wipes out his bullies. It's almost as if he is her guardian angel. And all while her siblings ever do is try and get rid of her in a stark contrast, while Seokju looks at her. Yona then tells Seokju that something doesn't add up, since if she was Ijin's target, then he would have tried to keep a low profile. And he agrees with that, stating that anyone smart enough would have stayed hidden. Yona asks if there is something that he wants from Daeyeon's family, perhaps some kind of insurance money from the plane crash. Seokju replies that the money must have grown, as the grandpa has never touched it, but he returned the payment for Ijin's share to the insurance company upon his return, and since it's still a sizable sum of money, they cannot rule that possibility out. This causes Yona to assume that Daeyeon could be in danger, as she is living with the guy under the same roof. We now switch scenes to Ijin and Daeyeon, as both of them seems to be shopping. Daeyeon calls Ijin out and says that while she didn't wanted to ask him this question, but what was his life like after the crash? Though seeing his expression, she quickly realizes the intensity of the question and tells him that he don't have to answer if he don't want to, but he replies that he is okay. He tells her that he was quite traumatized and couldn't really think straight. He did whatever he could to survive in a place where he didn't even speak the language. And so, he just stayed pretty busy all the time. She looks at him with surprise first and asks if he was too busy to even get a girlfriend, and he smiles and replies, yeah. She also tells him that she heard he is in the same classroom as Yona Sin, and she was quite surprised when she heard her saying that she was in his class. And so, Ijin asks if she knows her, and she replies that she was really nice to her before she moved to the US, and she really missed her as well, so she was really happy to see her again after all this time. Though, Ijin simply gives a blank stare. Daeyeon then also tells him that she asked if he had a girlfriend, which surprises him seemingly. Now fast forward to their home. We see they have got a cake for their grandpa, and tells him to hurry up and open the gift. Though upon seeing the gift, he tells them that they really shouldn't have, but Daeyeon replies that they have more than enough to get him a present, so he shouldn't worry because it wasn't expensive. But the grandpa replies that he already got his present, the greatest gift of all, which is that their Ijin came back home, safe and sound. Hearing which surprises Ijin as Daeyeon smiles looking at him. Suddenly, Daeyeon's phone starts to ring, and she goes on to pick it up. And it turns out to be Yona, to whom Daeyeon asks, what's up? and upon knowing that it's Yona, Ijin seems to be thinking something. Daeyeon hangs up the call and tells her grandpa that she is heading out to the convenience store for a bit. Her grandpa worries and asks, "At this hour?" And she replies that Yona came by for a quick chat, and her grandpa recognizes her as that nice friend of hers, though Ijin seems quite serious with his expression upon knowing this. Ijin now gets back to his room and starts to search about the SW Corporation. He questions, why are they looking for him, as it's too thorough to be running background checks on transfer students. And he also remembers Seokju's question about what is so important that he got into this school. His grandpa suddenly calls him out, telling him that he is going to step out for a minute. He asks if it's because of Daeyeon, and he replies that it's one reason, but he also wanted some fresh air. Ijin smiles hearing that, and tells him to stay at home, and he would go instead in his place, but the grandpa insists on going. But Ijin replies that he has work early in the morning, and he needs something from the store anyways too, so he would walk home with Daeyeon. His grandpa asks if he needs some money then, since he would be going to the store, but he replies that he has some allowance left still, he can use that. And so, his grandpa sends him off with a smile, telling him to be safe, and he replies that he will. We now switch scenes to Daeyeon and Yona, who is telling Daeyeon about the stuff that they learn in school, and how they put an emphasis on after-school activities, which Daeyeon finds quite fun. But Yona replies that it can also be quite handful sometimes, and asks if Daeyeon wants to study abroad as well, as a lot of kids their age are interested in studying abroad programs. But Daeyeon replies that she has never considered it before. Yona asks, why not? And she replies, because it costs a lot and she would have to be there for a few years, which means she won't get to be with her grandpa for a while. Hearing her response surprises Yona for a bit. Daeyeon gets a bit sad, saying that she don't want her grandpa to be alone, since he is not the best in health these days, causing Yona to sigh, thinking that Daeyeon is always so caring and selfless. But Daeyeon also tells her that having her brother around is really helping her feel much better. And seeing her smile like that at the mention of her brother, Yona doesn't know. How can she bring that topic up to her? We get a flashback of her talking with Seokju, who tells her that an employee from his supposed school just agreed to testify that Ijin Yu never attended. They even looked at his picture and confirmed that he was never there. The longtime and current resident of his false address also provides him with ample proof, though he is also looking into other routes on the side. And so, Yona tells Seokju to let's go. He asks, where to? And she replies, to let Daeyeon know about all this. Seokju replies that it all proves that Ijin Yu's records were forged, but not that he is not his real brother, and all that it's to ensure her safety, not Dan's. But Yona replies that his records for the decade he was missing are basically fake, and she is living in a house with him right now. So how can he seriously expect her to just stay quiet about it? This leaves Seokju silent, and Yona is determined to let Daeyeon know what they found out at least, since she has the right to know that. This is the reason that Yona came to see her, but she keeps smiling like that whenever her brother is mentioned. Daeyeon speaks up, telling Yona that she is really happy to be able to talk to he again, which takes her by surprise, as Daeyeon continues that it's just that she hasn't chatted like that with anyone in a long time. This causes Yona to remember that Daeyeon was severely bullied for a long time. Meanwhile, we see that Ijin is here and seems to be watching them from afar. And when he tries to move on towards them, Seokju gets in between and starts glaring at Ijin. Ijin tries to move past him, but he tells him to just wait here for now, almost as if it's an order. Seokju assumes that Ijin must be here because he is afraid that they would tell Daeyeon everything, which is precisely why he didn't want to make any trouble. But he also thinks that Yona is right, because they cannot just let her friend herself be at risk, and so he tells Ijin that it won't take long. While mentally he is planning to get Ijin once it's all confirmed, though he tells him that they need time to catch up with their talks, so he should give them a minute. Suddenly, they both hear a screeching sound from a car and looks back. But before they can do anything, the car hits them both, and they both fall on the ground. They seem heavily damaged, as they stagger and grunts in pain. And when Ijin looks up, he sees some guys kidnapping his little sister and gets furious. He quickly gets back on his feet and starts rushing towards them in anger to save Daeyeon, even though he is heavily injured with blood dripping on his face. But before either of them can reach the van, they quickly drive away, leaving them panting in the middle of the road, unable to do anything. They both glare at each other in anger and turns towards each other. They grab each other's collar in anger, both thinking that the other one did all this shit. Ijin asks Seokju what is his best guess, and he replies that this is what he wants to ask him, and thinks that Ijin is perhaps not the one behind it due to this question. Ijin thinks about it for a bit, and both of them lets the other one go. Seokju quickly calls out to SW, and tells them that Yona has been kidnapped and to alert the authorities and track their route through surveillance footage. It's a black minivan and the license plate was covered. And as he sees Ajin leaving, he tells him to wait and asks him to tell him the truth, if he was the one behind it or had anything to do with it. But Ajin isn't in the mood to entertain his question and tells him that he don't have the time to do this with him. Seokju tells him that SW Corporation security detail is already on this case, and they would find both of them really soon, but he would have to stay with him until they can confirm his true identity. Ajin glances back at him and tells him to go and look for Yona Sin with his team, and he would go to find his sister himself, though he can follow him if he wants and do whatever. This behavior causes Seokju to think that it doesn't seem Ajin was behind this incident. But when he is walking, he suddenly turns back again and asks Seokju if he brought a car. We now switch scenes to a bar where Cha seems to be relaxing and sighs thinking that it's all such a mess. Suddenly, one of his henchmen calls him out and tells him that the kid is here to see him. And at first, Cha asks, who is he talking about? But we see that it's actually Ajin, who seems to be here to find some information about his kidnapped sister. We now switch scenes to some young woman, who seems to be doing some of her office work, as just then someone knocks on her door. She asks the person, what is so urgent that he couldn't even wait for her to tell him to come in? And the guy informs her that Miss Yona has been kidnapped. Hearing this surprises her, but she soon smiles as the guy reports further that they have just received word from the security team, which causes her to say that the rumors she heard were true perhaps. She asks her assistant if he thinks that the grandfather would continue to pursue that deal, and he replies that he is not sure about that. So the girl replies that she just hopes that he doesn't give in to the threats and just pushes on. And she wants it this way because that way, Yona will die. We switch scenes to Cha again, as he seems to be having a short stare down with Ajin. Seokju notes that the person in front of them is Dushik Cha. He is someone who is flagged in their database for organized crime. Though he questions, how does he knows Ajin you then? Dushik asks Ajin, what does he want, and he replies that he wants some intel, but Dushik replies that he gotta be kidding him. He tells Dushik that the granddaughter of SW Corporation has been kidnapped, hearing which surprises him a little. Though he tells Ajin that it's not them, they don't deal in shit like that, and that he would have to be pretty shit out of luck to mess with the likes of SW. Ajin asks if he don't have any leads to them either, and he replies, why should he even tell him that, especially when he is stuck in this shitstorm thanks to him. And Ajin tells him that his younger sister was taken away along with her, causing Dushik to get surprised. And so, he sighs saying, God damn it, and tells Ajin that some idiots speaking broken Korean were asking around for an untraceable warehouse. They also asked for burner cars and a few extra helping hands. The offer was quite hard to resist, but he turned them down, since stuff like that don't wash off easily. The word is that some crew took the bait, and all he knows is that they are working out of Incheon. That's it. And Ajin thanks Dushik for all the information, but as he is leaving, Dushik suddenly stops him and throws over his phone to him, and asks him to save his number in there for him, though Ajin looks at him with a questionable stare. And Dushik frantically tells him that he needs his number if he is going to look into the warehouse, sir, and get back to him with the intel, and so, Ajin puts his number in there. He then asks Dushik if the bike standing outside is his, causing him to let out a confused, huh? And we see Ajin taking Dushik's bike, telling Seokju that he can find some way to get there, since he would be taking this. Seokju asks if he is really going to chase down a weak lead like that, and Ajin replies that Yonasin would most likely be safe until they get what they want, but there is no knowing what they would do with Daeyeon. Seokju notes that Ajin is really quick and perceptive. Even the way he came straight here to get a lead, he is completely unable to figure him out. He tells Ajin that he has relayed this information to their security team, and he would follow him behind in his car, and Ajin replies to suit himself. And with that, Ajin revs the bike and leaves quickly for the location. We now switch scenes to Daeyeon and Yona, and Daeyeon finally wakes up again from getting put to sleep. Yona apologizes to her, since she probably got dragged into this mess all due to her, and right as she tries to ask, what does she mean? Daeyeon realizes and asks if they have been kidnapped, and Yona agrees, saying that she really didn't thought that this would happen as soon as she got back to Korea. This was also the reason why she didn't wanted to see her, and learning this, Daeyeon seems quite scared. Seeing them both up, the kidnappers arrives, as Yona asks them, why did they kidnap her? And the guy replies that it's none of her damn business to know that. She should just stay still, and it would be all over soon. This causes Yona to assume that he is perhaps trying to use her against her grandpa, or SW. One of them asks, what should they do with the other one, since they brought her here just because she was with Yona, and the guy replies to just get rid of her, since she is useless to them, but Yona steps in to save her, saying that she won't let them harm her in any way. and the guy asks, what is she even going to do about it? And she replies that she would bite her tongue and bleed to death. Then they won't get what they all came here for. The guy calls her threat hilarious and is surprised that a girl like her would sacrifice her life to save someone else, and asks her to try and do it, bite her tongue and die for him. And the guy is left quite surprised when Yona actually goes through it without a moment of hesitation. But Daeyeon shouts her name in worry, so the guy stops her and tells her that her little spectacle did brought her some time now. One of them again asks, what should they do? And the other one replies, to get rid of the other girl later now, and stuff her mouth so she cannot make a sound. Back to Ijin and Seokju, they seems to have arrived at the place, as Seokju asks, if this is it? Ijin replies that this was the address that was sent to him, and Seokju tells him that his lead wasn't half bad, as SW security also tracked down the minivan footage to this area as well. And as Ijin tries to enter, Seokju tells him to hold on and let the backup be here as well. He has already sent them the coordinates, so SW security would be here soon. But Ijin once again repeats that it's just like he said before, Daeyeon doesn't have much time unlike Yonasin. Now we see a lot of guards roaming around and patrolling the area, and as one of them goes in between a container, Ijin quickly clutches his neck with his arm. The guy tries to break out of the chokehold, but Ijin renders him completely unconscious and drags him into the pile of bodies. Seokju is beyond shocked by his ability, as he notes that he is beyond skilled in neutralizing opponents in utter silence. And this causes him to ask Ijin, just what on earth is he? And he simply replies that he is a guy in his class. And his answer leaves Seokju stunned and surprised, as he says, what? In utter confusion. Meanwhile, we see Ijin moving in to save Daeyeon, and without a worry or hesitation in his eyes. We switch scenes to an old guy, whose assistant informs him that the kidnappers have made their demands. They would like the SW Corp to terminate their recent contract. They are to respond in 1 hour, and they intend to kill Miss Yona if they were to refuse their demand. The old guy then asks for the security detail, and his assistant replies that they will reach the location where Miss Yona is being held within 50 minutes, causing the old guy to squeeze his staff in frustration. Back to that location, one of the two goons question, where did their employers even came from? And why are they doing all this shit for them? And the other one tells him to shut up as it's none of their business. Suddenly, in the middle of conversation, one of them gets struck on his neck and falls on the ground. But as he gets up again, wondering, what the hell was that? He sees Ijin, who has already took down the other guard. Ijin then looks at him with his cold stare and kicks him right on his face, knocking him out cold as well. He then asks Seokju, how many of them did he got? And he replies, the one he just left back there makes it 5 in total. And Ijin replies that it means they beat 14 in total, and that the people here are not short on resources, while Seokju notes that Ijin took down 9 while he was fighting just 5 men. He then asks Seokju to now tell him about the people who are behind all this. And so, he sighs and replies that they don't know who it is really, as it just happens every once in a while. They had a similar incident when they were in America as well. He just never thought that it would happen so soon again after they return, so he considers it his fault. Ijin tells him that the real wire puller must be with Yona then. Seokju asks about it, and Ijin continues that this was a scheme to kidnap the granddaughter of SW Corporation, and these thugs aren't nearly capable enough to pull off something like this. And hearing this all surprises Seokju, as he notes that Ijin was able to read this far into it in the middle of all that combat. And Ijin then asks Seokju if he would be alright, and he asks about what, and Ijin replies that he hurt himself pretty bad when that van ran them over. But Seokju tells him to not worry about him, since he is the one with an injured leg. Suddenly, more of those thugs arrives, wondering where did everyone else ran off to. And as they are searching for them, one of them comes across a pile of their men knocked out unconscious. But before the guy could react, Ijin knees him right at his face, but the other one notices and gets shocked. But Ijin quickly twists his arm and strikes on the back of his knee joint and strikes his nape at last. Ijin suggests Seokju to move separately from him, since the goons must have heard the noise now, and he agrees to do so. And before they part ways, Seokju calls out to him and tells him that once this is all over, he would give him an official apology. Now inside the warehouse, we see the one of the goons in there questioning if they just heard some kind of noise outside. So the masked guy tells them to go and check it out, which they do so. Meanwhile, we see Ijin moving alone in silence. And just then, he is noticed by the thugs, who tells him to stop right there, which he does, and simply stares at them. Looking at Ijin, they say that he is just a little kid, and one of them comments that they saw a picture of Seokju, and Ijin is not him, and asks, how the hell did he even got in here? But he doesn't reply anything and notes that these are the men who are running this scheme. But regardless, they all get moving to get rid of Ijin, who doesn't seem concerned at all. Switching scenes to Siaku, who has infiltrated the warehouse from a window and starts looking around. And soon enough, he is able to find both of them, tied up and with their mouths covered. He looks around and notes that there is no one else around, and assumes that they all went for Ijin, and so he moves himself towards Daeyeon and Yona. He removes the mouthpiece from Yona first, who quickly asks him if the security team is already here, and Seokju replies that they are on the way, so she asks, how did he knew where to find them then? But before he could say anything else, we see the masked guy arrives, along with someone else, who gets to know that the security team won't be here for a while, and tells Seokju that he must be that famous Seokju from SW Corporation. He has heard a great deal about him. He has been a nuisance in their way, always lurking around Yona, and keeps on getting in their way. And while he don't know how he managed to find them so quickly, but it wasn't a smart idea for him to come alone without his security team, or so the masked guy believes. The other guy quickly rushes at Seokju and tries to attack him, but Seokju dodges it. He then tries to counter, but the thug dodges and punches at Seokju, which he blocks. Seokju quickly realizes and notes that this guy is not like the ones on the outside, which is exactly like Ijin said. But Seokju is able to land a solid punch on his gut regardless, which deals quite a bit of damage, judging from his expression. And when the guy tries to strike back, Seokju quickly gets behind him and presses on his spine with his knee, and ends up neutralizing him. The main boss tells Seokju that he knew he was trained from an early age, yet he finds his skill quite impressive to watch. However, they are not in some kind of sparring match, as Seokju asks, what in confusion while panting. And suddenly, he gets attacked again, which leaves Yona quite shocked. And we see him with various cuts on his body, done with a knife, as the boss asks him, why does he look so surprised? He didn't think that they would fight empty-handed, did he? As this is the reason that dealing with boys like him is easier than one thinks. He tells his thug to make it quick, since they have to move the camp before the security detail finds this location. And when the guy attacks him with a flurry of knife strikes, Seokju dodges, albeit barely. He starts to accumulate quite a bit of damage and thinks that the first strike on him was too deep, as now he cannot move correctly. The boss deflects one of the knife, saying that they should take care of that other girl just in case, which shocks Seokju. And as the boss glares at her, Daeyeon gets scared and shocked. And we see that he has thrown a knife at her, but Yona tries to get in between it, and the knife connects, causing Daeyeon to get terrified. But we see Seokju has Yona tries to call out his name in worry, while the boss calls Seokju another pitiful guy with a fancy reputation. And so, he orders his thug to leave Yona's sin and kill the other two, who moves on with the bloody knife in his hands to do so. But just then, they all hear the door open, and looks at it. And we see that Ijin is here, while behind him lies a horde of unconscious guards, all bloodied. While the look in Ijin's eye is still unflinching, almost as if he has not even gotten started yet. We once again switch scenes to Dushik, whose henchman informs him that it turns out Gozeon Cartel was behind this one after all, though they didn't seem to know what they were getting into. Dushik replies that those fools never ask questions before taking on a job. His assistant then speaks up something that he is curious about, which is about that teenager, and asks Dushik, why did he help him? Dushik is a bit confused by his question, so he says that he put him in a tight spot. He is the one who released all that dirt that they have been saving on Congressman Kim for all these years. Dushik simply lays his head back, replying, what else could he do? And calls himself a weak old man who couldn't even take on one kid, and they cannot go looking for revenge against him when they were the ones that messed with him in the first place. But his henchman replies that he didn't have to help him either, and so Dushik thinks for a bit and chuckles in return, saying, what else could he do when the poor kid's sister got kidnapped, causing his henchman to reluctantly agree. Back to Ijin, we see everyone looking at the door and noting his presence. The boss asks, who is this? In confusion, and Yona is absolutely shocked noting that it's Ijin-yu. And Daeyeon is absolutely shocked as well, as she yells out loud and calls him brother, causing the boss to be taken back for a second by this. He then quickly starts laughing loudly at this notion, saying, if he is really getting this right, the brother is here looking for his kidnapped sister, and calls it quite priceless sarcastically. But Ijin doesn't show much reaction, and instead casually asks Daeyeon if she is hurt anywhere. But Daeyeon is completely freaking out due to all this and starts crying, shouting at Ijin to get out of here right now, as it's too dangerous here. Though Ijin is completely calm about this all, meanwhile, Yona thinks that due to her, these two innocent people have been put on risk as well. She then tries to tell their leader that she is the only one they need, and she would come with them without a fight. So he must let everyone else go, and she also gives her word that she would cooperate with them fully. But he replies and asks, why the hell would he want to do such favor to her, causing Yona to left without anything back to say. Meanwhile, Seokju notes that Ijin looks completely calmer, as even in a situation like this, he hasn't even flinched at all, causing him to think that perhaps he can do it. And so, the leader orders his thug to kill Ijin first, as they have wasted too much time already. The guy quickly agrees and moves towards Ijin and attacks him with a knife, but Ijin easily blocks it with his arm. He then uses that guy's own arm and uses its momentum to thrust the knife into his own chest, causing him to let out a grunt of pain. And this leaves everyone watching quite surprised and speechless at the moment. Now while Ijin is holding the knife to that guy's chest, he calls out to Daeyeon, who flinches a bit upon hearing that. And Ijin tells her to close her eyes for a bit, which she quickly does and shuts them tightly while being scared. And so, Ijin moves really quickly and slashes him on his thighs and arm, causing the blood to gush out like a fountain, and the guy drops down to the floor while screaming in pain. Seeing which, Yona in shock, wonders what just happened while Seokju notes that Ijin is not just swinging the knife randomly, he severed that guy's muscles and ligaments to neutralize him completely. Seeing this, their leader is a bit surprised as well, as he tells Ijin that while he says he is her brother, to him he looks more like a bodyguard, though Ijin doesn't answer and starts moving towards him. He continues on upon observing him further, saying that it's not that either, as a normal kid of his age couldn't possibly use a knife like that, and no many guards have such cold look in their eyes. Their leader then, and when he moves in and swings the knife at Ijin, he dodges by ducking down. The leader tries swinging again, but Ijin still dodges and closes in. And when the leader is trying to stab him, Ijin deflects and changes the trajectory of his knife, while preparing to stab his own, which the leader realizes and quickly moves back out of fear. But they both once again starts exchanging blows with the knife, with Ijin casually coming out on top, as he strikes his arms and muscles. The leader is left completely shocked, as he wonders, how can this be, and asks Ijin for his identity. Just who is he? He asks. Because he is unable to believe that a kid is better than him at a knife. How can it be? He questions to himself. The leader once again rushes in to attack Ijin, who dodges and grabs his arm instead and slashes his thighs. And when he loses his balance, Ijin strikes him right on his face with his elbow, leaving everyone surprised and him barely standing. Yona watches in complete shock as the guy gets pissed at Ijin and starts to curse at him with his bloodied face. He then takes out his gun in a knife fight, seeing which, both Seokju and Yona is left shocked as he prepares to shoot Ijin with it. But Ijin quickly throws the knife towards him and it stabs him right in his arm joint, causing him to lose balance. He then quickly moves in and smacks the gun away from his hand. And when Ijin looks towards them both, they flinch out of fear. He starts moving in towards them slowly, while being surrounded by blood and bodies, as he tells Daeyeon that she can open up her eyes now. And when she does, she finds Ijin smiling and sitting right in front of her. He tells Daeyeon in a warm tone that he came here to take her home, leaving her speechless for the moment. She then puts her hand forward and touches and caresses his face gently, while saying that he is bleeding, and asks if he is okay. And this gesture of hers takes Ijin by surprise, but he quickly gets back and replies that he is okay. And Daeyeon suddenly starts crying, though Ijin gets confused and asks, why is she crying? And if it's due to she is hurt somewhere? And looking at Ijin and Daeyeon's interaction like this, she seems to have been left without anything to say anymore as well, as she simply stares at them quietly. Fast forward to morning. We are at the SW Seoul Medical Center, and Ijin seems to be waiting outside on a sofa alone. He seems to be in some deep thoughts, while the nurses walking past by him are rizzed automatically by his charms, and as they take glances of him. Suddenly, his phone buzzes and he takes out to check, and it's seemingly a message from Jae-hyung, who asks, why isn't he at school? To which Ijin replies that he had an errand to run. He also apparently missed an epic moment. Yongshan actually cursed Jae-hyung, which Hyejin finds deserving to him and funny as well. And seeing their banter like that, it causes Ijin to grin happily. He then sits back again, almost as if tired and in deep thoughts about something. As we see, he is sitting in front of the psychiatry department. We now get a flashback of the aftermath on what happened after Ijin took down those thugs. The security team have arrived and arrested all of them. And Ijin looks at Daeyeon with concern, who seems to be getting checked up by a doctor. Yona comes around and tells Ijin that he should take her to a hospital for a checkup. She would have everything arranged for it. Ijin asks about it, and Yona replies that she might have injuries that they cannot see right now, as this is a lot for someone to go through like this. She also only found out recently that Jisoo and Huijin Kim were giving Daeon a hard time. It is good that they get penalized, but it doesn't mean that things are resolved for the victim, and Ijin quietly listens on to her. She also tells him that Daeon had a tough time for a while now, so talking to someone would do her good. A bit later, and we see Daeon is finally out, she asks Ijin if he had to wait long for her, and he replies that he also just finished a few minutes ago. He then asks her what did the doctor told her, and she replies that there is nothing to worry about her, but they still want her to come once a week for a while. She then asks the same thing to Ijin, who replies that he is pretty much fine except for a few light bruises around, and so she sighs a breath of relief, saying that she is glad that he is okay. And when Ijin looks at her, he is reminded of her face when she was crying for him to get out because of the dangerous situation they had going on there. And he seems to be having some thoughts about it. Daeon then calls him out, wanting to ask him something. But she seems to struggle to speak out to him and ask what she wants to, but Ijin smiles and asks her, "What's up?" But Daeon smiles and simply replies that she forgot what she wanted to ask him, thinking that she cannot ask him that. We get a flashback. When the doctor was checking up on her, she overheard conversation of some security guys that the kid beat most of the kidnappers by himself, though it doesn't even make sense to them, since he is the same age as Miss Yona. And hearing their convo, Daeon seems quite shocked, as she wonders, how is he able to fight so well? What kind of life did he had before he came back to Korea? And just then, Yona arrives, and they both greet each other. She asks Daeon if she just finished up and how was her consultation with the doctor. She replies that it just ended, and she also heard that Yona arranged for her to receive the free treatment, but she really didn't have to that, Daeon says. But Yona replies that she was the one who got her dragged into this mess, but Daeon still insists that she is fine. But regardless, Yona gives her a heartfelt apology for all of this, but Daeon replies that she has apologized so many times already, and she was a victim of this kidnapping as well. Meanwhile, Ijin takes notice of the guard behind Yona, and when their stares lock in, the guard seems to feel fear and in pressure just from Ijin's glare. Yona blushes slightly while asking Ijin if he got checked up as well, and he simply affirms, with Daeon saying that Yona has no idea how hard it was for her to talk him into getting it. He only agreed when she threatened Ijin not to get checked out either. From this, Daeon also asks Yona, isn't Seokju here at this hospital as well? Which she affirms, so though Ijin doesn't say anything. Now at Seokju's ward, we see that he was quite injured and is covered up in bandages. He is quite shocked and surprised upon receiving a sudden thank you from Daeon. She tells him that she didn't got the chance to thank him yesterday for saving him, so she is really apologetic for it as well, but in surprise and confusion, he replies that it's okay. She asks if he is feeling okay, and he nervously replies that he is doing much better now. Though Ijin seems to be quite detached from all this, and looking at him, both the guard and Yona feels nervous. Now it's time for them to leave, as Daeon wishes for them to get better quickly. And after they have left, the guard tells Seokju that the boy is the one whom he asked them to run through the database, isn't he? And also the one who was with him throughout this ordeal, and Seokju affirms. The guard is unable to wrap his head around this, and Yona asks, what does he mean? And he replies the fact that such a scrawny young kid somehow neutralized that many men alone. And Yona replies that she was really amazed by that herself as well, though she didn't knew that it was something that an expert like him will be shocked at as well. But when the guard tells her that this matter isn't merely the boy beating a group of men, she is filled with nervousness. With the guard continuing that Ijin quickly and quietly neutralized more than 10 men on guard, and it is not an easy task for even many trained professionals to accomplish alone. And what is even more remarkable is that he didn't kill any of them and only rendered them unfit for combat in that short time. Hearing this all leaves Seokju speechless and in thoughts as well. The guard continues that judging by the cuts the two men found inside the cargo container had, his knife skills are also extremely difficult to achieve in an actual combat scenario. They also have to consider the fact that those men were retired soldiers, not some bunch of common thugs of street. And judging by Seokju's reports and the state of which those assailants were left in, he believed that the character of this Ijin is one highly trained professional with tons of real-life combat experience. Hearing which leaves both Seokju and Yona completely shocked and baffled as they listen on the guard's statements about Ijin quietly. As he finishes off that, his extensive experience isn't just of fist fighting, but of actual extensive and lethal combat at that. We now switch scenes to Daeon and Ijin, who seems to be walking along in the sunset and seemingly heading back to their home. On the way with a seemingly sad expression, Daeon calls out Ijin and thanks him, though he don't understand at first. Why is she doing that for? She continues on, that she didn't get to thank him yesterday, and realizes that she has been saying this a lot to him lately, and also keeps needing his help in everything. But Ijin declines her thoughts and sayings, while smiling, and tells her that he should be the one who should be thanking her instead, though Daeyeon doesn't understand what is Ijin trying to say, and why is he thanking her instead. And so, Ijin tells her that he thinks he now knows what it feels like, but Daeyeon asks, what does he mean? Ijin thinks back to the moment when Daeyeon reached out to him and asked him if he is okay. That was the first time in his whole life that someone has put his safety over their own, without any calculation whatsoever. It is something that he has never experienced before he came here, back to his family. He stares at Daeyeon with a smile, who is still looking at him with a surprised expression on her face, not getting what he means. But Ijin tells her the reason for him thanking her, which is to finally make him realize and feel what having a family feels like. We now switch scenes to Jia, who learns about the incident with Yuna, and thinks that Seokju was the one who saved her and took them down even before the security arrived, believing that she should have gotten that gifted kid instead of Yuna, and finds it a waste. But her assistant tells her about a peculiar rumor that is floating around, that while Seokju was essential, the exploits of another student with him were even more extraordinary, which she finds unbelievable. But when he informs her that even the chairman has taken interest in him, only then she believes that perhaps the rumors are true in shock. We go back to Ijin, who is exercising at his home, and remembering the moment he took that thug down. He then remembers the face of his littler sister, and the expression she made then. But just then, he gets called out by his grandpa to have some fruits. Out there, we see Daeyeon is already on the table, as Ijin asks about her condition, and she replies that he asked that already and she is fine still. But she also assures Ijin that he don't have worry about other stuff either. She knows that he is concerned about what she has seen him do, and how startled or curious she might be about how he is so good at those things. But she still assures that it doesn't change how she views him, since he did all that to save her. And she won't ask about what his life was like before this either. She couldn't tell neither him or her grandpa about the bad things happening to her at school, as there are just some things that you cannot say. Suddenly, Daeyeon's phone rings, and it turns out to be Yona. She seems to be again asking about Daeyeon's condition, and she assures her that she is fine. And then Yona asks something about Ijin, who seems to be silently watching the conversation. A bit later, and we see both of them meeting up. Yona asks him to sit down, and Ijin gets straight to the business. Yona apologizes to him for putting Daeyeon in a dangerous situation, and Ijin replies that she already told him that. But she wanted to say it separately to him, and Seokju would also come to apologize to him in person once he is better. She also thanks him for saving her, and he replies that he went to get Daeyeon, not her. But she insists on the thanks, since regardless, she received a lot of help from him. He stares at her for a bit and asks if it's why she called him out here, and she replies that they would also stop investigating his background. And we see Ijin visibly slightly angry at them, but she tells him to not be so mad about it, since they couldn't ignore the fact that he has all of his documents forged. Even though they never found about why he forged his documents, they would drop the investigation, since she believes he wouldn't have come to help Daeyeon if he planned to hurt her. Ijin quickly gets up after the conversation, assuming she is done talking, but she tells him to wait, and asks to spare a couple of hours, because her grandpa wants to meet him, to thank him in person. But he leaves while declining, as he wasn't there to rescue her in the first place, leaving Yona speechless at her response. Now while walking back to his home, he spots Yangsu, and we see he is heavily injured, and as Ijin recognizes him, he tells him that it's all due to him. Ijin doesn't understand what he means, and Yangsu explains that things were bad enough for them due to his stunt with Congressman Kim, but then Dushik stirred up trouble with Gaseon cartel to help Ijin. Hearing which, Ijin seems to have a serious expression on his face. We switch scene to a bar where many men have gathered up, with their boss telling Dushik to give up before he makes a fool out of himself in front of his boys. Dushik is quite injured as well, but still smirks while replying that he had his boys take the weekend off, yet he still brought the whole Seongsu crew along with himself. One of the blondie tells Dushik that he shouldn't have tampered with Congressman since it got everyone in problem. Not to mention, he also played some tricks with Gozeong and his men recently. But Dushik replies that he only helped realize that dogs should know the truth about the hands that feeds them. This causes Gozeong to get pissed, but he is able to dodge, counter, and take on quite a few of them with him. And with his glare, he is able to make Gozeong anxious, despite him having so many personnel with him. But even though he is doing quite well against them, in the end, he ends up getting hit on his back with a bat. It does seem to have caused quite the damage, but he quickly turns around and smacks the guy on his face. Even after taking down so many, they all just keep on coming, making him question Why did he bring so many people here despite knowing that he would be alone? And with a grin on his face, he thinks he is done for and wonders if Ijin was able to save his little sister. Meanwhile, Ijin is already outside the club, where some men tries to tell him to get out of here, only to get kicked in the face. And we see him removing the helmet to Aura Farm before entering the club. The people standing outside guard quickly attacks Iji, but he grips his arm and counters with a punch on his face. The other one is surprised by his prowess, and before he can do anything, he also gets kicked in the gut. And with them out of the way, Ijin starts to enter the club. Walking inside, someone questions him. How the hell did he got in here? Glancing to his side, he finds some more guys who tells Ijin to scram, but he ignores and starts walking towards them. One of them steps up close and gets struck on his head in the middle of his speech. Seeing one of them fall in a single hit seems to make everyone shiver for a moment. And before they can do anything, Ijin again engages them in combat, swiftly taking them down and dodging another one, and countering with his elbow right to the face, only for more men to attack him, this time with a bat which he dodges. He quickly strikes his knee and lands a kick right on his face for another easy takedown. The last one gets scared and tries to run away, only to get hunted down by Ijin easily. We now switch scenes to Dushik, who is panting heavily and seems to have taken down many of them. They never expected him to be able to last this long all by himself, noting that he would have been a big trouble in the future. The other one realizes their plan would have failed if Dushik wasn't alone, and another good thing being that Dushik never had the ambition to stir up trouble. More people starts to rush him, only for him to dodge and hit him in the gut. But he is now having immense trouble. Gozeong commends Dushik for his impressive performance and asks him to give up now since he is at the end of his rope, only for Dushik to smirk again and calls him a bitch for even suggesting that, because he plans to finish it. And his demeanor and absolute confidence starts to make everyone anxious. Suddenly, they hear screaming voices coming from behind, cries for someone to stop the incoming beast. Gozeong glances back and wonders what the hell is going on. And we see a shadow appear, and from behind the corner comes out Ijin. Everyone wonders, where did such a little kid came from? And Dushik is surprised to see him here as well, and questions, what is he doing here? And Ijin replies that he came to return his motorcycle, surprising Dushik with that response, who thinks, what the hell is he talking about in a time like this? The blondie sneers, and orders his men to take down Ijin since he is Dushik's acquaintance. But Dushik warns them that he would leave him alone if he was in their place. But the blondie replies that they cannot let him go since he has seen everything. But he instantly realizes how light those words were for Ijin, who quickly starts taking down his men. Gozeong and the blondie is absolutely shocked, with Dushik having a grin on his face and telling them to not say he didn't warn them. Since even though it's hard for him to say it, even he cannot handle Ijin. He stands in front of the large number of men and slowly starts walking towards them with no hesitation. Gozeong orders his men to kill Ijin as well, only for them to get clobbered. He tries to tell them to let a punk beat them, only to get a men thrown his way by Dushik, telling him to not forget about him. A bit later, and we see the end of Gozeong and the blondie, with Dushik lying in the corner and panting hard. He glances up and sees Ijin in front of pile of bodies, a scene which makes him call Ijin an absolute monster. Ijin soon starts to leave, telling Dushik that he paid all of his dues now, leaving him a bit perplexed. He wonders if this was the reason Ijin came all the way here and asks what happened to his sister. And he replies that he got there in time, all thanks to him. Now at the hospital, Yangsu wakes up shouting for his boss and starts panting hard. But upon looking over, he finds Dushik right beside him as well. Seeing whom he is quite surprised and asks, how did he got here? And Dushik replies that he got messed up, so he took a cab here to get treated. Yangsu questions about the men who attacked him, and Dushik claims that he took care of them all. But Yangsu calls it bullshit, stating that perhaps he is simply ashamed that he lost hearing, which annoys Dushik, who asks Yangsu if he really thinks they would let him walk in one piece, which he guesses not. Dushik tells Yangsu that he also heard he went to see the kid and gave him a hard time, and Yangsu confirms if he means that high school punk. He replies that he snapped after he got jumped on his home from the club. He wasn't thinking straight and charged at him. But he don't, and Dushik himself was about to give up when the Gaseong and Seong sub-bastards kept coming up, and then suddenly, Ijin showed up and wiped them all out in a matter of seconds and told Dushik that he paid his dues and walked out. Yangsu is really impressive and says out loud, that's so badass, something which Dushik agrees with and was also thinking at that time. Yangsu wonders Ijin's true identity, and Dushik replies that he claims to be just some average teenager, so they would have to take his word for it. We now switch scenes back to Ijin, as a ball is flying towards him at high speed, which he catches with his hands, and the referee quickly calls out handball for it. It leaves everyone surprised as Hyekjin and Jaehyung tells him that he is not supposed to grab it since he is not a goalkeeper. And Ejin is also perplexed by it and apologizes for it, stating that he didn't meant to do this. Soon enough, the bell rings, and before heading out, Hyekjin and Jaehyung invites out Ejin to game later, as today is the only day Yangshan doesn't have lessons after school. He tells them to go ahead, as he would meet them there directly because he wants to walk his sister home first. They seem surprised hearing that, and he replies that she is not feeling well these days, so Hyekjin tells him that they would save him a spot. We now switch to Daeyeon, who seems quite happy and is wondering, what should they have for dinner today? Suddenly, she overhears girls being all wet about seeing Ejin, all of them wanting their siblings, boyfriend to be handsome and cool like him. Two of the girls coming along and asks Daeyeon if her brother is dating anyone, and she is surprised at her question at first, and replies that he did said he wasn't, hearing which they excitedly runs away, not without finding it unexpected. All of this reaction makes Daeyeon feel that he is really popular. Even Yona has asked her twice if he has a girlfriend, which gets her wondering, why doesn't Ejin have a girlfriend? Is he not just interested? Because she bets lots of girls would want to date him. On the way to the gate, she is a bit surprised to see Ejin waiting for him along with his friends, and greets them, which makes them awkward as Jaehyung awkwardly greets her back. They all begin to leave, telling Ejin to catch up to them after dropping off his sister. Daeyeon asks Ejin if he is hanging out with his friends today, and he replies that he would stop at home first. She asks if it's because of her, and he replies that he just left something at home. She tries to assure that she would be fine, but Ejin still insists that he really left something at home. Daeyeon replies that she is just trying to say that he don't have to do that from now on. She even declined Yona when she offered to have her security escort her home for a while, since all she wants to do is live a normal life. And Ejin simply agrees to do what she says hearing that. But regardless, he still wants to walk home together with her from time to time. But Daeyeon tells him that he is worrying too much. And he replies that he is not worried. He simply enjoy their walks together, which Daeyeon also agrees with. Suddenly, Ejin looks forward and sees Jia standing along with her guard. She tries to greet Ejin, but he doesn't reply back and simply stares at her with a serious expression. Daeyeon wonders, who is that? While Jia expresses her sadness upon looking at Daeyeon for suffering such an ordeal due to Yona. Daeyeon asks for her identity, and she replies that she is Yona's cousin. And she wanted to thank Ejin for helping Yona, and offers to treat him to dinner if he can spare time. But he quickly declined, while saying that Yona already thanked him herself, so there is no need for her to go out of her way. His response surprises her, as also tries to state that she had a proposition for him, and before even listening to her fully, he simply walks past by her while saying that he is not interested. His behavior and all makes Jia really shocked, as comments, "Who does Ejin think he is?" Her guard asks if he should bring him back, and she declines, because she don't believe that Ejin can be cocky and simply brush her off like that. Now at the game parlor, we see Yangshan standing up and planning to go to the washroom for a bit. On the way to there, he crashes shoulder with someone. The guy angrily tells him to watch where he is going, and Yangshan gets scared and starts to apologize to him. But the guy doesn't accept his apology and raises his hand to hit him, as an apology isn't enough for him. And just then, Jaehyung arrives, asking, what is going on? Yangshan glances back at him in nervousness, and Jaehyung starts walking towards the guy, telling him that Yangshan only bumped into his shoulder, he should get over it already. And after getting into his face, he asks the guy if he is not taking them for some pussies, is he, making him nervous. The guy gets intimidated by Jaehyung and walks away in fear. Jaehyung also sighs and looks over at Yangshan, telling him to let's go before Hyekjin gives them an earful, and Yangshan confusedly agrees. He is in a bit of daze, as he didn't expect. Back in the room, Hyekjin asks them what took them so long, and he replies that someone messed with Yangshan. Hyekjin questions, who were they in an annoyed tone, and Jaehyung replies that they were wearing Goziok Technical High uniform. Hyekjin asks Yangshan if he is okay, and he replies that nothing happened since Jaehyung got there to help him, who also tells them both to just continue playing. Suddenly, we see a bunch of people barging in the room. And while Hyekjin and all are playing the game, those guys comes and stand right next to them, and asks them all to come with them. We now see Yangshan being absolutely scared, thinking that they got in this mess all because of him. The guy scoffs at them, as before they were wondering if Jaehyung has some big backup behind him, but it only turns out to be Hyekjin, which makes them feel they are going to mess them up easily today. Jaehyung also starts mocking them, that he ran away all scared before, only to get his little buddies with him, though he didn't thought that he was smart enough to pull that off, which only angers him more. The guy tries to attack him, but Jaehyung dodges and easily counters right on his face, causing the guy to stagger and get back with his group again. Yangshan starts trembling in fear, thinking that it's all his fault, but Jaehyung tells him to not feel bad about this, since they are the ones who should be sorry instead of him. Haekjin calls out Jaehyung about saying the same thing Ijin said a while back, which makes him feel embarrassed while he replies that Ijin looked so cool when he said that, so it rubbed off on him. Hearing them squabble casually like that, they all start to get pissed and attacks them, only for Jaehyung to quickly kick one of them far back and hit the other one on the face. Watching them, Yangshan doesn't understand what should he do, as he has never been in a fight before, but Haekjin tells him to just stay back like that, which he is surprised to hear, as Jaehyung adds that while he outranks them in the game, but they got him covered in this shit. But the knockdown ones are getting up again, making Jaehyung annoyed and wondering, how could Ijin knock them out in a single blow? And in the middle of his thoughts, he gets kicked right in the gut, and before he could recover, he has another punch coming for him, only for Yangshan to save his ass by holding the guy. He pushes him to the ground, and the guy tries to free himself, but before he can, Jaehyung kicks him right on the face. Haekjin makes fun of him for getting saved by Yangshan, and Jaehyung gets embarrassed and replies that he was just getting ready to reel the guy in. Yangshan is also on the floor, as Jaehyung asks him if he is good, and he replies that he is and also apologizes for getting them into trouble, but Haekjin tells him to forget about it, just like Jaehyung told him with that impersonation of Ijin earlier. We now switch scenes to Ijin, who is wondering, where did everyone go, as no one is picking up their phone. Suddenly, they all comes around and asks Ijin what took him so long, as he missed all the action. They were whooping some ass apparently. Yangshan then tells them all to head in. While going back, they talk how awesome it felt, and even though they were quite tough, they weren't a match for them. But upon getting back in the room, they are all shocked, as we see members of the same school are lying on the ground, which makes them wonder, how did they end up like this? And Ijin simply replies that when he came to find them, they all jumped him when they saw his uniform, leaving them all with a face full of shock and fear. A bit later, they all sit down to eat. Haekjin checks on Yangshan on what he got for his snack. And when they forget to get the drinks, Yangshan offers to go and get it, but Jaehyung tells him that it's fine. He would go since he is already up anyways. Haekjin is still up about those Goziok Tech idiots, as they took them for chumps and got their asses handed to them, and Jaehyung joins in too, commenting that they won't be around for a while now after this. Meanwhile, Ijin is staring at his snack, not knowing what to do with it. He then notices Jaehyung opening it up, and does it in the same manner, and even getting impressed by it. He then asks them about who started the fight, and Jaehyung replies that they were messing with Yangshan outside the room. So, Ijin asks Yangshan if he is hurt, and he replies that he is fine since Jaehyung came to his rescue. He has to let them know that he is ready for anything, since those type of guys would eat you alive if they think you won't fight back. Haekjin agrees that he has to show them that you won't take shit or they would walk over him. But Yangshan is still not convinced, arguing what if they really end up hitting him, but Jaehyung replies they would do that even if you seem scared. But he is still afraid that they might beat him up even more, which Jaehyung agrees with, but also brings in the fact that he would be labeled as a bitch if he don't say anything. Haekjin has seen it work before. Those type of guys don't want to risk the trouble, so they keep on picking the weak. And so they suggest him to learn to speak up and fight back. From this, Ijin also remembers his past, where he had his food stolen, and when they demanded him to hand it over, he didn't back down. And much to everyone's shock, he instead beat them to a bloody pulp, leaving only one of them up, who was scared shitless seeing Ijin covered in blood with his wild expression, which leaves him to stare at Yangshan for his decision, who clenches his fist and speaks up that he didn't like them both, hearing which shocks them. He continues on that they bullied kids in their class, even him, but Jaehyung doesn't remember doing that, believing that they only joke around sometimes. Hearing which, Yangshan clenches his fist tightly as Haekjin says that they never hit anyone in class, neither made anyone their shuttle, believing themselves to be saints compared to some others. But Yangshan shouts that it's the same kind of violence for them, even if it might be a joke to them, leaving them to freeze up as Yangshan expresses how violence is violence, regardless if it's small or big, and he resented them for being so cruel without any shred of guilt. Hearing him say all this leaves them speechless, and Yangshan smiles nervously, saying that he spoke up just like they told him to, leaving them even more nervous as Haekjin comments that no one ever said anything to him like this. He believed he was only joking around and never knew people would think it that way. Same goes for Jaehyung. He thought it was fine since they weren't as rough as others. Yangshan found it strange how nice both of them were to him, So he figured that perhaps they didn't realize what they were doing is also a form of violence. And after all this, both Hyekjin and Jaehyung apologizes to him. And Yeonkin seems to be looking at them with forgiving eyes as well. Meanwhile, we see Ijin trying to open another packet of his snack, but it falls to floor this time. Due to which, Ijin goes into full panic mode as everyone watches him with a deadpan face. He tries to eat it off the floor, but they all stop him from doing so. We now switch scenes to Jia's office, who seems to hear some commotion outside. And it turns out to be Yona, who barges in her office, while Jia acts all casual with her. Yona yells out her name and she asks, "Why is she yelling all of a sudden?" And Yona replies that she knows of her running checks on Ijin. And Jia replies that she was the one who was running background check on him first. And she replies that she did that before, but now she stopped and promised him that she wouldn't, so she should stop it now as well. But Jia questions if she is forgetting the type of life they live or what happened during the recent incident. She tries to argue that he wasn't involved, but Jia replies that even though Ijin helped her, it doesn't make him trustworthy. She cannot simply ignore the fact there is a kid around with a forged background. Jia's assistant replies that while they understand Yona's position in this matter, it's a matter of concern for school now as well. A school affiliated with their corporation has taken a student through a forged process. This all leaves Yona unable to say anything, but regardless, Jia tells her that they would be receiving the word about his information any minute now. Her assistant replies that Ijin's records were somehow restricted from access, so they conferred with contacts higher up the network to get his information, and Jia tries to tease Yona, asking if isn't she curious about him as well, and if she not want to know who he really is, and she replies that she don't, because to her, Ijin saved her, and that is enough. Suddenly, the phone rings and Jia asks everyone to listen in together about him. And she puts the phone on speaker. The person on the phone is calling about her recent inquiry about Ijin. And Ji replies that she is thrilled to finally learn the truth behind that young man's identity, and the person replies that they have noticed she has been asking around Ijin quite extensively. But the order from up above are that SW Corporation shall refrain from any further inquiry about Ijin, hearing which shocks everyone. She tries to furiously question, how can it be, as they don't even know who he really is. But the person replies that considering the lasting friendship between SW Corporation and the government, they can inform her that SW Corporation has nothing to worry about with this individual. He was someone estranged from his family after an unfortunate plane crash. He is merely a young man who has found his way back home.